Welcome along, everybody. We're back for more ALR 100% League. Of course, this is round 9, the final of round 9, of course, with the divisions already taking part. And I think I need to jump into the party because I'm in the wrong... there we go. Let me jump into this party here. Because I am otherwise just going to be commentating in the lobby, which I don't think the drivers will be very keen on me doing that. So yeah, we're ready to get going now for the 9th round, of course, of the season. This is Silverstone that's going to be coming up tonight. Waiting for a couple more people to join in quali as well. So we'll be underway very shortly as well. But they can jump in during the qualifying session, that is. So yeah, we are ready to get going now, and we are going to kick-start the 52 laps around here, of course, after a short qualifying session around the famous Silverstone circuit. So so get ready for us to get going. We're just waiting for the drivers to get themselves sorted, and then we can actually get ourselves underway, as unfortunately somebody has jumped out of the session there, which is not good news. So hopefully they can get themselves back in for the restart. And then we can crack on for this race. But there we go. Unfortunately, I can't see who it is actually either, which is a bit of a shame. But there we go. Hopefully they can get themselves back in for the start of the race itself. The quali will be coming up very, very shortly as well. I'm just trying to figure out who it is. But I can't quite tell. But nonetheless, we're ready to get going anyway. So there we go. So right, we are underway, getting ourselves into the session. Acid Masters is in the session, it does say, so I'm not quite sure who it was that jumped out. But hopefully they can get themselves back in the session in time. Like I said, we've got now 3 people waiting to join in qualifying, hopefully. So yeah, fingers crossed they'll be able to get themselves in for the start of the race at least. But there we go, we are underway now, just getting the countdown ready to get going. And of course the drivers will be getting themselves in their garages ready to get going as well. Oh, Serious Mushroom, we had a problem there, it looks like, so he has joined the session now, thankfully. So I'm not quite sure what's happened to Serious Mushroom, but he is back in now, thankfully. So there we go. We are well, we've got full wet weather in the oh dear. That is not good news at all, doesn't it? It looks like a pretty wet qualifying that's going to be underway very shortly. I'm not quite sure. We'll have to wait and see what the drivers are going to be saying about the weather conditions in the race itself. Hopefully it's nice and dry for the race, at least. 52 laps, like I said, around here. It is a bit of a feat to take on, but of course I'm sure the drivers will be capable and ready to deal with anything that comes their way, albeit if it is a wet race or not, we'll have to find out. AI says Serious Mushroom has left the session again. I'm not quite sure what's happening to Serious Mushroom, but he's not having a great time in this one. But hopefully he can get himself back in. He can get himself back into the session. I'm not quite sure what is going on here as we're loading in, and myself, like I said, myself, I can't see what's going on. I'm not quite sure if there's a problem for everybody, or if it's just a problem for everybody else. I think it's just restart the lobby would be my guess, and then we can get going for this one. So yeah, I think we're gonna have to back out if I can. No, I can't. I have to just quit the game, I think, on this one, and just back out and wait for a new invite on this one. So we'll close the game now, and we'll restart. So not a good start to the first race. We'll have to hopefully get ourselves back into this one and back into the new lobby. And there we go. We're going to get started very, very shortly indeed. But so bear with us whilst the lobby is having problems. I think it was something to do with Serious Mushroom. They're having to jump into the session and then jump back out. So yeah, we'll have to bear with us whilst we start up a new lobby quickly, and yeah, hopefully Ginny can get himself get the session all up and running very quickly indeed, so we can get ourselves started. But like I said, we'll be getting a new lobby up and running very, very shortly. So stay tuned for us on this one. Like I said, nothing wrong with a nice F1 Grand Prix with a bit of Codemasters thrown into it as well. So stay tuned for this. We'll get started eventually. Hopefully, Jenna can get another invite out to us very, very quickly, and we can jump into a new session. But at the moment, we can enjoy the lovely sofas and scenery of the F1 life, which is another characteristic that is absolutely fantastic, isn't it, in the Formula One games? What would we do without the F1 life in our on our main menus of the F122 game. I don't know what we would do. We're just waiting for Gina to set up a new lobby, and we can get ourselves underway. But it seems to be we seem to be waiting for it. There we go. We've got the invite now. So bear with us 1 second whilst we get ourselves into the session, and we can get everybody into the session as well. So yeah, so bear with us 1 second, guys, whilst we get ourselves sorted. We will be getting ourselves underway very, very shortly. We'll just get the invites out to the reserve guys as well. Swanshanks and Tebow as well, who are the reserves tonight. So get them invite out as well. And like I said, hopefully Scooby Stew and Kaz can join us as well. Of course, this will help hopefully them get back into the session, because of course they were running a bit late. So hopefully they can get themselves into the session now as well with the issues that we've had in the lobby. But fingers crossed we can get ourselves underway. We'll just run through the setting quite quickly just to make sure everything is okay. It looks like everything is all right on that one, of course. We need to sort out that. We need to sort out the settings there. I think Jinner, he has got himself. Needs to get himself all sorted with the lobby settings and such. Yeah, there we go. But yeah, so bear with us. We are going to get the race underway very, very shortly. But we'll have to wait and see. We'll have to wait and see how quickly it's going to be, because I think we're going to have wait for a couple of people to join and hopefully get the lobby settings sorted as well. Yeah, we go. I think a couple more people just jumping into the session. Once we've got everyone back in, we can get ourselves back underway. Yeah, at the moment, unfortunately for Gino, he's not got everything sorted out just yet. But we should be underway very, very shortly. Just need that safety car onto reduced, and of course that is everything done and dusted, I think. Hopefully we're at the right track. Yes, we are. Good stuff. Yes, so we're just waiting for somebody to get themselves back into the car. I think we're missing somebody. Not quite sure who it is. And Jinner needs to set the safety car to reduced as well. But hopefully we can get that sorted. Yeah, that is sorted now. Good stuff. So who are we missing? We're missing somebody, and I'm not quite sure who. So let's have a look and quickly scan through. But yeah, really can't tell at the moment. Yes, it seems like everybody is in here, unfortunately. Well, I can't tell who's missing. We are missing one person, and I'm not quite sure where it is. It's Ewok Jr., so we can get going again now. We're just waiting on Ewok to get himself into the session, and now we can go again. So ready, get started again, and let's see what happens. Good stuff indeed. We're ready to get going. So hopefully the second attempt will be okay. Fingers crossed anyway. So like I said, once the drivers have all got themselves sorted, we can ready up and crack on. So like I said, hopefully the session will work this time. Fingers crossed it does anyway. So like I said, just readying up for the guys who are in the session. And like I said, when we get going, hopefully, like I said, we can get a couple more people to join as well. They'll be coming back and joining in the qualifying session as well. So hopefully they don't join too late, because of course they will miss the race otherwise. Right then, we are getting ready to get going. So hopefully this time it will work. Fingers crossed anyway. Yeah, I think the problem was caused there by Serious Mushroom. Whatever issue he had was disconnecting from the lobby and then rejoining back. And that is what happened. It caused the lobby to crash somehow. But fingers crossed we can get ourselves into the lobby this time and underway this time without any issues. Kick me from my car, I can't get in, says Serious Mushroom. I wonder if the rain has gone, says Swanshanks. It probably has, hopefully. Fingers crossed it's not back for the race itself, though. We'll have to wait and see, obviously, how it all is going to pan out. But fingers crossed, like I was saying, fingers crossed it is not going to be horrible conditions. I think we'll see what happens now as we are loading in now. And like I said, we've got a couple of people. It is a bit overcast at the moment, but there's no rain this time. which is good news, I suppose. But yeah, we'll have to wait and see what the weather is going to be like for the race itself, because of course 52 laps around here, if it's going to be raining in the race, that is going to be the more problematic situation. But we are into the lobby now, everybody is in hopefully, and we can get ourselves underway for this qualifying session as well. 15 cars on the grid at the moment, but of course there is hopefully 2 to join in the qualifying session, that being Kaz, who hasn't woken up just yet, and Scooby Stew, who is on his way back from work, who's running a bit late, but fingers crossed he can jump into his AlphaTauri car in just a jiffy. But we have got a few drivers coming out on track now. Let's have a look and see what's going to be going on in the grid, or on the grid I should say, on the track, as we get the qualifying session underway as well. Gurman is the fastest car out of the pit lane, of course the fastest out of the pit lane at the same time, in the Alpine. So it does look like potentially we might be seeing some rain later on in qualifying, as we see quite a few drivers there heading out quite quickly on outlaps as well. So maybe there is rain coming in the qualifying, which would of course shorten the session. Which is good news, I suppose, because of course we had a bit of a longer break to start the session because of the connection issues there for Serious Mushroom. But fingers crossed we can get ourselves underway for the qualifying now in this one. And like I said, a lot of cars coming out the pits very quickly indeed, so potentially that could mean we have got the overcast conditions here. Potentially that could mean that the rain is on the way, but we'll have to find out from the comments. Hopefully one of the drivers who is listening to us, who is in the garages right now, can let us know what the weather is going to be like for the rest of qualifying and of course for the race itself. But there we go, 16 minutes left of the session for the drivers now to get themselves a time on the board. And all but Ewok, Kiki and Chewie are out on track already. Serious Mushroom's already lost his car key, so he won't be out at all in this qualifying session. That is him done and dusted, as the Gunter Steiner mobile is not going to be happy with him there. Rain of the start of the race till 90 minutes to, if you believe the game, says Serious Mushroom. Right, so what we're gathering from that, because Serious Mushroom is always wrong, as we were aware that in the last race that it was supposed to be rainy and it was sunny for the majority of it. So we're expecting it to be nice and sunny for the start of the race, and then it will start raining at the end, I suppose. But fingers crossed we'll be almost towards the end before it starts raining. It looks like there's a lot of drivers who are keen to get themselves out on track now, to get a time on the board. Gurman being the first of them as well, coming through into sector 1 there, through to Luffield now in the Alpine there, making sure he gets tight to the apex there, and then going wide on the exit to maximise the speed on the exit of the corner, of course. And now coming through the old turn 1 of Cops, towards Cops I should say. Now through the incident corner, where we saw of course Max Verstappen and Lewis Hamilton come together in their sort of title fight, but now Gurman, they're coming through the Maggots and Beckett's complex of corners to get himself onto the hangar straight, and now DRS is activated here as well. 2 DRS zones in this one as well, down the Wellington Straight there in the sector 1 towards the end of sector 2, or to the beginning of sector 2, sorry, and then of course down the Hangar Straight, sorry, here as well, towards Stowe Corner. And there we go then, Gurman now coming through Vale and Club to finish off the first lap of anger in this qualifying session. Up to the line, it's going to be a 27.597 there from the Alpine driver. Good stuff indeed from him as well. Of course the first and the fastest to set a time. If weather was inaccurate, I wouldn't be wrong, says Serious Mushroom. If weather wasn't accurate, then it'd be very boring for us as well, because then we'd know exactly what's going to happen in the race itself as well. And is there rain falling on the circuit already? Kydell slots himself up into P2, Vessier P3, and Ginner P4. X-Gamer, sorry, up into P3. They're splitting the Red Bull and the McLaren. But rain, I think, is falling on the circuit. Now, DRS has been disabled. Rain has started to fall. AC Immortal puts himself P3. I think that might be it for quality, to be honest. It's done and dusted now, isn't it, on this one? Because I think that is it for the qualifying. I don't think anybody's going to be able to go faster than they've already done, especially if the rain starts falling heavier in this qualifying session. Just the guys need to make sure they get a time on the board, because at least that will mean that they can at least get themselves further up the grid. But it looks like Reflection has retired. Where's Reflection gone? Reflection's in the pit lane. So Reflection decided not to take part in this qualifying session. Here comes Ewok around Stowe Corner as well. We've got a Alfa Romeo of Swanshanks coming around as well. Of course, Tebow unfortunately invalidated on his lap previously. Kiki has gone for a slide at Luffield there. That is not good news for the Ferrari driver. I think the conditions have worsened so quickly as Swanshanks, they're just starting a lap now on the soft compound tyres. That is not good news. Ewok there has crossed the line. It's a 1:33 from the Mercedes driver, but that is it, done and dusted, I think, for qualifying, unless it can dry up quickly as well. We saw it start raining quite quickly, and now it is, we'll have to wait and see if it's going to dry up in the next 12 minutes or so. But I think that could be qualifying done and dusted in this session. We had a very quick start to qualifying. This is our second lobby because of the internet issues, and I think that might be the start. That might be the quite quick finish to qualifying as well. So that might be us done and dusted here in qualifying already. To be honest, I think the weather is playing a bit of a factor there in holding up the progress now of our drivers. But Swanshanks is still going for it. It looks like he's putting the power down, or trying to put the power down, coming through Luffield in that Alfa Romeo, and of course looking to get some points for the joint constructors in the Alfa Romeo. Of course, racing in bronze is Swanshanks in the Alfa. So again, looking to get some good points for himself and the team as well in the joint constructors. Coming through Copse Corner, he's gone wide again, but he's not invalidated his time there. He's still been able to keep going, but I don't think it's going to be a competitive time, unfortunately, for the Alfa Romeo guys. It's going to be... Well, he can get P10 actually here. He can set a competitive time, or any time on the board, that is. He's drifting it around Maggots and Beckett's there. That Alfa Romeo really just having a great slide through those corners. And so long as he makes it to the finish line, he will be starting at P10 or even better potentially. But he's almost into the 1:30s as well already, and that is not going to be a very fast time indeed. I think even potentially the intermediate compound tyres could go faster than these softs. On this occasion now, I think there's Swanshanks coming in the pits. He's coming back into the pit lane. He's abandoning his lap now as well. But like I said, I was going to say he was going to do about a 1:50 lap there. I think the intermediates will be faster than those soft compound tyres in these conditions already. So if he wants to set a time on the board, I would suggest putting the intermediate compound tyres on and going for that P10, which is still up for grabs. Like I said, everybody back into the pit lane now. I think Ewok Jr. is the only one out on circuit. He's also coming back into the pit lane as well. That is our qualifying done and dusted. 60 minutes of rain, says Serious Mushroom at the start of the race. Is that going to just follow on from what we got here already in qualifying? AC Immortal's retired from the session. I think that's him basically saying he's done and dusted in this qualifying session. He's not going to be able to go any faster than a 28.061 there in the Alpha Tauri. So that is him done and dusted. We'll have to wait and see. A couple of drivers there setting the intermediate compound tyres just to maybe go for a bit of a test run, because of course if it's going to be raining in the race, they might want to use this as a bit of a practice on those intermediate compounds, but we'll have to wait and see what they're going to be doing. I think a couple of drivers are going to be just calling it a day. We've got Kiki coming out of the pits there on the intermediates, so he's going to have to try and get himself round and set a time in that Ferrari. An Alfa Romeo there of Tebow, I think, coming out as well. Swanshanks has set the intermediate compound tyres as well, but he's not yet come out of the garage. Away goes Kiki now, coming over the top of the hill there to come. He's sort of joining on at the second turn, don't you? As German has also retired, as well as X-Gamer as well. I think it was those two in the pit lane there. So now out on track, we've got Kiki, Tebow and Vessier there on the intermediate compounded tyres. Ewok Jr. is retired in the pits as well. That's his qualifying done and dusted. So like I said, I think a few drivers there just looking to set their sights now on the intermediate compound tyres. Of course, if it's going to be the same conditions in the race, then they might need might have an extra edge on their competitors if they've got a lap in on the intermediates in qualifying, or a couple of laps under their belt in qualifying as well for a bit of practice. But they also need to set a time at the likes of Kiki, Tebow, Swanshanks and Chewy. But Chewy there seems to be stuck in the pits at the moment. Hopefully they can get a time on the board, and that will at least promote them above Serious Mushroom there, who's currently sitting in P10 without setting a time. But there we go then. Scooby Stew and Kaz are the hopefully one of the couple of guys who could benefit if these guys stay out, because of course they are the late joiners that are on their way back. But fingers crossed they can get themselves back into the session in time. But we'll have to wait and see. They have got 9 minutes, that is. But unless everybody retires, if everyone retires early, then we go straight into the race. But I think that might be the key focus for the likes of German, AC Immortal, X-Gamer and Jinner, who are already keen to get the race underway after our bit of a delay to the start of this one. But there we go then. Kiki is out on track, so is Tebow. Tebow is already through. Where's Tebow? He says he's on a lap already. I think that's wrong. because I'm pretty sure he came out the pits behind Kiki, but Kiki they're setting our sights now, going through turn 1 now, making sure to keep the car under control. It is very difficult in these conditions to do so, but he's done a good job of keeping it in the straight line and on the grey stuff, especially if you go on that green stuff in these conditions, you'll be sliding all over the place. So keeping it on the grey stuff is the best thing you can do, although it can be difficult at times, trust me. But here goes Kiki now down the Wellington Straight towards the end of sector 1 now, in towards Luffield, and he's done that very nice. There we go, good stuff indeed. I'm not quite sure what I'm rubbing there, says Serious Mushroom, but yeah, hopefully it's nothing too untoward, but nonetheless Kiki now coming through in towards Cop's Corner, and let's see what he can do now coming through here, swinging it in, but it's quite easy to lose the car, especially in these conditions. He's kept it on the track very nicely indeed, very good stuff indeed from the Ferrari driver, and of course coming through into Maggots and Beckett's next to finish off sector 2 as well. Now we've got 7 minutes left of the session. I'm not quite sure if the driver's going to be fueled to go for another couple of runs. Potentially they could go a bit faster, even if they, like I said, the benefit of using the intermediate compound tyre is that you can use it as a bit of practice for the race itself. But we'll have to wait and see what the conditions are going to be like in the race. As we've been told, it's going to be raining from the start, but we're not quite sure, as Serious Mushroom doesn't know. Because they can't tell what the weather map's going to be doing at the moment, and I don't think anyone can, because who can at all. But there we go, I've just got a nice text. I'm not quite sure who's texting me there, but I will just make sure that is muted, because we don't want to see the text going in there like that. Very nice indeed. Good evening to Ewok as well. Thank you very much for joining us. And of course, he's in the Mercedes tonight, and we'll be looking to get some points for the Mercedes team. Unfortunately, his teammate of Sam Green was not able to take part. It doesn't look like today. Well, he said he wasn't able to take part today. So unfortunately, Ewok there fighting for his points. Or the only driver in the Mercedes there fighting for the points for the Mercedes team tonight. But Kiki has got himself up on the board. He's done a 39.7 there, which puts himself P10. Tebow's then a 41.5 there, so that puts himself P11. Swanshanks is on circuit as well, but coming round to start a lap now, as we've just seen. I think it was Vessier go out on track as well to start his lap as well. Acid Masters also taking to the track there in the other Red Bull on the intermediate compound tyres. So a couple of drivers now taking a bit of practice time, I think, to get themselves out on the intermediate compound tyres. I think the rain is still coming down. I was going to say I thought the rain had stopped there for a brief moment, but it was just my eyes that are getting too old. But there we go then. So good stuff indeed so far. Like I said, I think the qualifying, the guys who got to time it on the soft compound tyres, the likes of Gernman there, of course, was the first car out, and that really benefited him, didn't it? Because we saw the rain start coming down at the end of his flying lap there. So he's done 27.5, which is pretty good condition, pretty good for dry conditions, I should say. But yeah, very good stuff indeed. And like I said, the faster the guys got out of the pit lane, I think that was the benefit that they've got under their belts, of course, for setting a dry qualifying lap time. That is. So now we'll have to wait and see what the guys on the intermediate compound tyres can do. Swanshanks going round now, Stowe quarter to finish off the lap. He's gone a bit wide there. He's lost control of the car, and he needs to make sure he gets himself back on track as well, because I think, like I said again, if he sets a time, then he'll be all right. But he needs to get himself back onto the circuit, and unfortunately for Swanshanks, he decided to come out into the pit lane, it looks like. So back into the pits there for the Alfa Romeo driver. Chewy, one of the other drivers who hasn't yet got out on track yet, so hopefully he can get himself sorted for the race start. Kaidel back in the pits as well. Vessier in the pits, as is Acid Masters is on the track now, so he's out back on P7. Vintage has gone out on intermediates as well for P8. Kiki is still going there. He's improved by a tenth of a second there to a 39.1 there for the Ferrari driver. Good stuff indeed. And Tebow's unfortunately invalidated on this run, so that is qualifying done and dusted for a lot of these drivers, I think. Unfortunately, I don't think the likes of Kiki and Tebow can get into the top 9, that is, with the pace on those intermediate compound tyres. They're just not fast enough on those compound tyres compared to the guys on the dry compound tyres that have already set a time at the very beginning of the session as well. So that is the qualifying, I think, done and dusted for this one. We'll have to tune in to the race, which will be coming up in just about 2 minutes' time, I think it is. Can't quite see because that yellow flag in Sector 3, but hopefully that will be cleared up very shortly. But like I said, we'll be underway very, very soon as well for the start of this race. And we'll be underway. 3 minutes now for the drivers just to get themselves sorted, put in a few more practice laps there on the intermediate compound tyres, and get themselves underway. So there's still a bit more time for them to jump on in. And there we go then. So that's that. Good stuff indeed. Kiki and Tebow back in the pit lane now. That is them calling it a day. Chewy there still hasn't got out of the pit lane either. Vessier's back out on track as well. He decided to come back out on another set of intermediate compound tyres, and he's back out in P5 there. But like I said, I don't think he's going to be able to improve on a 28.9 that he previously set on the dry compound tyres as well. So we'll have to wait and see what the strategy is going to be there. It still looks like a pretty heavy rain in the pit lane as well, as Acid Masters there is wheeled away back into the garage. But there we go. Vintage is out on track, as is Vessier. They're the only two out on track at the moment. Here comes Vintage now through Maggots and Beckett. Like I said, doing a bit of practice on those intermediate conditions. I think, as he comes now down the hangar straight towards into Sector 3 and towards Stowe Corner. But let's have a look and see who's going to be the if any. I don't think anyone's going to be able to improve, unfortunately, in this session now, as Vintage there going round Stowe Corner, coming back into the pit lane as well. And that is him calling it a day. Kiki is retired in the pit lane. Vintage has got himself back to the pit lane now, so the only car on track is the Red Bull Hero Vessier. Vintage retiring in the pit lane. That is him done and dusted. So he is happy with what he's got. He's going to be qualifying in P8. Chewy has retired in the pit lane as well. So that is Chewy out of qualifying also. I don't think he had enough time in the end to get himself out of the garage there and set a time anyway. Unfortunately for Chewy, he left it a bit too late there to get himself into the car. But there we go. Acid Masters retiring as well in the pit lane. Vessier coming around to start a lap. Kydell and Tebow in the pit lane as well. So that is it for qualifying. We are done and dusted here. Vessier now is on track, but I think this is going to be his last lap in anger. And that'll be it once he does cross the start-finish line, or call it a day. But yeah, it's not looking like a competitive lap time, unfortunately, in these conditions compared to the times that the drivers have done, and the Vessier has done as well on the soft compound tyres in the very, very early minutes of the qualifying session. So there we go then, done and dusted in qualifying before we even got going, really. The drivers who got out and just got a time in just before the rain started to fall were right on the money, and unfortunately now, since then, it's been a bit like this since then, so we'll have to wait and see what it's going to be like in the race itself. Like we've been told, it's potentially raining in the race for the beginning part and then drying up at the end, so we'll have to wait and see how it's going to unfold. As now through into Copse Corner goes the Red Bull driver. So yeah, good stuff indeed. We'll have only a few seconds left to go before we'll find out what the conditions are going to be like in the race, and we'll run through the classification for the qualifying format. But yeah, like I said, we'll have to wait and see how it's all going to unfold in the race. Like I said, a few drivers here doing a bit of practice laps really on the intermediate compound tyres in the qualifying, potentially getting themselves an eye in for the race start, when we're expecting it to be wet as well. But how wet it's going to be, we don't know. We'll have to wait and see. We'll have to find out if it's going to be full wet conditions, intermediate conditions, or even it could be just a tiny bit of drizzle and the dry compound tyres still, because we've seen that before, which is very, very difficult to try, very difficult to attempt to start on. But there we go, Vessier crosses the line there. He does not improve on his time that he set, of course, on the soft compound tyres. And that is qualifying done and dusted for us. There is the classifications then. So unfortunately we've had Reflection, Chewy, Swanshanks and Serious Mushroom not being able to get a time in on the boards. Tebow there and Kiki did get a time in, but not in the early stages, so they had to do it on the intermediate compound tyres. P11 and 10 for them. Ewok Jr. there on the soft compound tyres at 33.5 there. That's when the rain started coming down during his lap. Vintage there in P8 as well. Acid Masters P7. Jinner in P6. Vessier there in P5. X-Gamer P4. Immortal there in P3. Kydell in P2. Another good front row for Kydell. And German there on pole position for the British Grand Prix. Right then, we're just loading in now to the race itself. 52 laps around here. We're looking forward to this one. Like I said, waiting for the guys to just load themselves in. And of course, they'll have to pick up their strategies get the fuel loads right and everything like that for the race start. Let's have a look here at the conditions. It looks nice and dry at the moment, although like I said at the beginning of qualifying, it's a bit overcast as well here. So Silverstone there has a bit of an overcast feeling to it this weekend, or this evening I should say, because it's middle of the week really, isn't it? But nonetheless, we'll carry on. So yeah, it looks like it's going to be a dry start to the race at least. So Serious Mushroom in the weather station has got it wrong once again, unfortunately. We'll have to rub that in. And yeah, there we go. So yeah, it looks like it's going to be a nice dry start to the race itself. Potentially we might see some wet weather conditions coming throughout the race, as we did see in qualifying actually, to be fair. We only had about 3 minutes of dry weather before it started raining. So will that be the same in the race? Will we see everybody diving into the pit lane inside the first couple of laps? We'll have to wait and see. But for the time being anyway, that looks like the formation lap and the first lap should be nice and dry. There is the drivers all lined up on the grid. And now we get the formation lap underway for the first time, for the only time hopefully, in Silverstone as well. So there we go. We'll have a look at the telemetry, get all the telemetry up and running there. Reflection there, starting on the soft compound tyres from P15. Unfortunately, we didn't see Kaz or Scooby-Doo join, so they haven't been able to select their car if they did. So they're not going to be taking part in this race, which is a bit of a shame. Chewy there on the medium compound tyres in P14. Swanshanks there in P13 on the mediums as well. Serious Mushroom there in a bit of an Alfa Romeo sandwich. I suppose you could say Swanshanks is in a bit of a Haas sandwich as well. But so Serious Mushroom there on the medium compound tyres in P12. Tebow there we saw doing an intermediate run, didn't we? In the qualifying session there, he qualified in P11 there in the Alfa Romeo on the medium compound tyres. We've got an Alpha Tauri there off the track. Kiki there on the hard compound tyres as well in P10. So he's one of the earliest drivers on the grid, from the back of the grid that is, to start on the hard compound tyres from P10 on the grid. Ewok Jr. on the mediums in P9 there, looking good in the Mercedes, hoping to get some good points for the Mercedes team as well. Vintage there in P8 on the hard compound tyres. Then we've got Acid Masters in P7 on the softs, so looking to go fast in the first stint, get himself up the order. Jenner there in P6 there on the hard compound tyres as well, so starting well for the Williams team. Vessier there on the medium compound tyres in the Red Bull. So both the Red Bulls on the softer compounds of tyre compared to their Williams counterparts that are around them as well. X-Gamer there on the hard compound tyres in P4, making up the second row, as well as AC Immortal there in P3 on the hard compound tyres also. Then we've got Kydell on the medium compound tyres in P2 there on the front row of the grid as well. Looking good indeed for Kydell once again on the front row on the medium compound tyres, looking to get a fast start on our pole sitter there of Gerdman there in the Alpine, who's been disqualified from the formation lap. Has been disqualified there, but he's on pole position there for the British Grand Prix, starting on the hard compound tyres in the Alpine. So that is your grid order for the British Grand Prix. Unfortunately, there's a couple of people who didn't manage to get in, which is a bit of a shame. But there we go. Go Williams, says Fudge McMuffin, I should say, if he can get me words out. And yeah, McMuffin there supporting the Williams team tonight. So there we go. They're lining up on the grid now. We go. I think everyone's got themselves almost in. Yep, there we go. And that is, I think that's it, isn't it? There we go. The 5 red lights are on here in Silverstone. The 5 red lights are off in Silverstone, and we are away for the first racing lap as well in this Grand Prix. Getting away nicely there was Kydell, but he's been covered off there by Gurman. Through turn 1 we go. Hopefully everyone can keep it nice and safe and sound. Reflection's already got up to P10 there as well. We've got lost the cars there through the trees. Vessier and Acid Master switching places there. A bit of team orders potentially already on lap 1 with the Red Bull team, but he's got himself through. Has Acid Masters on the soft compound tyres. Reflection battling well away with Tebow there into P9. There is the Reflection as well. Great start indeed from the McLaren driver, and they've kept themselves very nicely indeed. Here goes Acid Masters down the inside there of X-Gamer there on the soft compound tyres. Not really a contest at this stage of the race on those soft compound tyres. Acid Masters is flying with the extra grip and the extra pace on those Red Bull tyres compared to the white and yellow Red Bull tyres around him as well. But a great start indeed from Acid Masters and from a Reflection. Chewy and Mushroom switching places into Cop's corner. Bit of team orders again, once again there, but Chewy there playing it safe, it looks like. And now Swanshanks has dropped to the back, so he's behind behind the pair of the Haas drivers at this stage of the race. They just need to get themselves through Maggotts and Beckett's nicely and keep themselves after the train. Vintage has dropped down 4 places as well on those hard combat tyres. I think the likes of the drivers on the softs here, as we can see Reflection trying to make a move on Ewok Jr. for P8 here into Stowe Corner. He's made the move already before the braking zone. He's alongside, he's got the move done up into P8 now. Is the McLaren, and they're looking now after the next Williams of Jinner there, who's also on the hard compound tyres. Of course, the hard compound tyres will be take a bit longer to warm up, but they will be able to go a lot longer distance in this race, as the transponder seems to be messing up there for Ewok Jr. and Tebow, but they are only just behind the McLaren. So there we go. That's a good start indeed. First lap is done and dusted. Everyone's got through unscathed. Which is good stuff indeed, in my opinion anyway. I would hope to say everyone else's opinion as well. Out in the lead though, Goma keeps the lead as well from Kydell. Kydell on those medium compound tyres will be a bit pacier. Reflection going down the inside of Jinner. Jinner's already, I think Jinner's backed off there. He's let him through. Jinner is just being very sensible there on those hard compound tyres, which is to say, letting the soft runner of Reflection go through. Of course, Reflection will have extra pace right now when his tyres are still full of life, but they will drop off a lot quicker than the likes of the mediums and especially the hards in this first stint. So we'll have to wait and see when the pit stop phase will come up. We didn't see the pit stop phase below us, but when we were doing the formation lap, or maybe we did and I completely missed it, but at the moment we're not quite sure exactly how long these softs, how long these mediums and how long these hards can last, and we'll have to find out as the race goes on, won't we? Transponder still not working there for Ewok and Tebow, but you can see there on the screen they're not far behind the Williams now of Jinner, who's been passed by Reflection, and Tebow there is just behind the Mercedes as well. He's not that far behind the likes of Ewok as well. He's just inside the points paying positions as well as Tebow at the moment, and then Kiki and Vintage follow behind in P11 and P12, of course, on the hard compound tyres. Yellow flag in sector 3, that is Swanshanks. Unfortunately, Swanshanks had a problem there at Stowe Corner. He's had a bit of a spin there. He's got the car underway. The DRS has been enabled now as we start lap 3. So Swanshanks there having to collect the car, I should say, and get himself back underway. DRS now available for Kydell for all the drivers within 1 second of the car ahead. So that is unfortunately not the case for Vessier, who's dropped outside of the 1 second window of X Gamer there. Vessier now in P6, 1.6 seconds behind the Aston Martin of X Gamer. But here comes Kydell. It's too far back, unfortunately, to make any moves. Reflection there is looking to make the next move. I think Reflection on those soft compound tyres is really going for it on this first stint, as we've seen him start from 15th on the grid. He's already up to P7 there in 3 laps, or in 2 and a bit laps, I should say, really. But Reflection there looks like he's going to be the closest battle on track. Acid Master's doing a great job of getting himself up into P4 as well from P7 on the grid on those soft compound tyres as well. So the softs working very nicely for the drivers, for the 2 drivers only, who are on the soft compound tyres at the start of this race. But let's have a look and see if that progress is going to be halted slightly now that the hard compound tyres, now that the medium compound tyres for the other drivers around them have got warmed up in time. Let's have a look now as Reflection there onto the hangar straight. He's already alongside with the DRS assistance. He's got the power in that McLaren to get himself past the Red Bull, and before the braking zone he's up into P6. Kiki has got himself past Tebow into Stowe Corner, very close indeed to the bumper there of the Ferrari was Tebow, but he's managed to keep his nose out of danger. Up into the points paying positions is Kiki as well. So AC Immortal sets the fastest lap of the race there on the hard compound tyres on lap 3. So that is just showing that he's got some great pace in those hard compound tyres as well. Acid Masters is doing his best to cling on to the back now of the AlphaTauri, and he's just within DRS range at the moment. But of course, like I said, we expect those soft compound tyres to drop off quicker than the rest of the tyres on the other cars, the likes of the mediums and the hards, just because naturally they've got more pace, they've got more grip, but they do drop off a lot quicker. So we'll have to wait and see. Jinner there lining up a move here on Vessier down at the Wellington straight, I should say, into turns 4 we go. So turn 5, I think, isn't it? And away we go now. Vessier. Vessier that has got the move done. He's up into P7. Ewok and Jinner switching places as well. Ewok, of course, on those medium compound tyres will be slightly faster, I think, at this stage. Tebow and Kiki as well battling through Luffield. That's going to entice serious mushroom as well, but Kiki has dropped out of the points. Tebow's got the move done, and Jinner there gets ahead of Ewok as well as they go into Copse Corner as well. So now the Williams driver back up into P8, looking to set his sights on catching up to Vess here as well. Just outside, just inside I should say, the DRS range is Gino. That's good news for himself, otherwise he'd be unprotected. Here goes Kydell for the lead of the race. He's got the move done before Stowe corner up into P1. There is the medium runner of the McLaren. Good stuff indeed from him with Gernman. They're just dropping down into P2, but I don't think it's going to be too worried just yet. Kydell's got some great pace. We've seen that before. As what's happened there, I think Swanshanks is having a bit of problem there. No, he seems to be all right. That's good news. But Thibaut has been passed there by Kiki again down into Stowe, and that is with Kiki up in. Oh, Kiki's gone wide there. Thibaut. Oh, what's happening? Thibaut has gone through, and now Serious Mushroom going to stick his nose in as well. No, Kiki's lost the position there on the exit of Club corner. He went a bit wide there. You saw the Ferrari go a bit wide there, unfortunately, at Club. And now into turn 1, Kiki has dropped out of the top 10 once again, and Thibaut back up into the 10th place for the Alfa Romeo team. It's going to be a toing and froing between these guys, but it's been a good start to the race for these two as well. Of course, Kiki on the hard compound tyres. You would expect Thibaut to be able to have a bit of extra pace on those mediums for the time being. Ewok and Jin are switching places as well. Down into Luffield we go, and it looks like Ewok has got the inside in the Mercedes. He's controlling the pace there. He's got the exit as well. He's just ahead of the Williams now. And Serious Mushroom from nowhere is going to go for the P10 here, going around the outside of Luffield into P10 there, around Thibaut there for the 10th place position. Good stuff indeed, and great overtake indeed. We just saw the end of that, and looked good enough indeed for Serious Mushroom to get himself up into the points paying positions ahead of the Alfa Romeo and the Ferrari as well. Gina picks up the first penalty of the evening for any driver so far. We're on lap 5 of 52. Here he comes now down the hangar straight. He's going to use the DRS to try and get himself past the Mercedes once again. These two battling away just like Thibaut and Kiki were in the previous lap. Down the inside, around the outside goes Jinner though. Down the inside goes Ewok, but now he's going to try and make a move into Vale. No, not quite. And Jinner there gets the position there. He's up into P8 there. Ewok having to slot himself back into P9, but sticking very nicely indeed with that Williams driver down in P11. And the battling seems to have calmed down slightly here between all the drivers here. Serious Mushroom getting himself up into P10, and now he's trying to check out in the distance as well. He's got Thibaut for company still though. Kiki is not far back, and Vintage, I think it's just biding his time, being one of the consistent drivers on the grid. We are familiar with him as we've seen that from him plenty of times before. Chewy there in P14 doing a good job in the Haas, sticking with the group here as well, looking to get himself pulled along with the DRS as well. And Swanshanks actually in the back, he was about 8 seconds behind. He's actually brought that gap down by 2.4 seconds or so in the last lap or so. So these guys battling ahead of him is helping bring Swanshanks into the battle as well. So good news for Swanshanks. He can get himself back into this pack and start fighting for some points potentially as well in the next few laps or so. Good stuff indeed. Kydell there in P1. He's got the lead, and he's kept the lead for the last few laps as well. Since lap 4, 5, I think it was lap 4, wasn't it? He made the move for the lead of the race. He's now kept the lead of the race as well. Since then, Gurman there is stacking within the DRS range though of that McLaren, and I think all he's doing at the moment is Gurman is just biding his time, saving some ERS, saving some of those tyres as well for later on in this race when he needs to push at his maximum pace. And then he's going to use let Kydell do the legwork for the time being, and wait for his opportunity later on in this race to pounce. And I think Gurman is one of those tactical geniuses on the grid at the moment. He's making the plays that he needs to make to win this race. AC Immortal though is going to be very close indeed behind him though. He's going to be biding his time and trying to make his best opportunity to make a move here. We've seen AC Immortal and of course Gurman battling away. I think it was Belgium in round 6 where it was very close indeed between the two of them. I think the strategies just got in the wrong order, and unfortunately there Gurman had to pit for the fastest lap. He got P2 and the fastest lap point, but AC Immortal of course got the win. But it was some great battling between these two, Gurman and Immortal, through that Belgian Grand Prix round 6, so hoping to see maybe some more of that as well. We'll find out throughout the latter stages, I think, of this race. Ewok Jr. right on the back of the Williams of Jinner here through into Luffield. They go around the outside, goes the Mercedes, but of course the traction and the speed on the inside there for the Williams is just enough to keep him ahead in P8 for now. But now heading towards Copse Corner. Is there going to be some side-by-side action here with the Mercedes as well? Not quite sure. No, he's decided to think better of it, which is probably what could have been done from from the other real-life drivers in that corner as well in a couple of years ago now. But nonetheless, here comes Ewok now through Maggots and Beckett. Of course, the dirty air will play a factor through here because it's quite easy to get pushed offline through a bit of gust of wind from the car ahead of you. Now down the hangar straight, the red light is flashing on that Williams Virginia. That means the ERS is running low in that electrical recovery system. But there we go then, no moves made. There is a move made down the order though. Kiki's got himself past Tebow there for P11. Of course, they've dropped off the back here of Serious Mushroom now, and now coming through into Vale and Club. But the Ferrari there has got himself up into P11 now, can try and set his sights on getting after the Haas driver in P10. He's 2 seconds back. They've dropped 2 seconds now to Serious Mushroom, who of course was in this battle as well, but has got himself through the order now and up into the points pay positions as well. So hopefully these guys can now get on the pace and try and get that gap back down to the top 10. They're not too far off at this stage. Swanshank's also doing a good job of bringing that gap down as well, now down to 5.5 seconds. It was about 6.5 on the last lap, so Swanshank's doing a good job of bringing that gap back down into the Luffield corner complex again, and still Ewok can't make that move on the Williams driver Tebow as well. No moves made on Kiki. Of course, we saw Kiki pass into Stowe on the last lap. So yeah, Kiki now trying to get himself underway in this race. I think the hard compound tyres now will be probably phased in up just at the optimal temperatures, up the right pace now for the drivers on the hard compound tyres, the likes of Kiki, Vintage, and we've got then Jinner, X Gamer, and AC Mortal and German who are up the order. But I think that they would have phased in quite nicely now on the last couple of laps or so, and now will be able to get going to the maximum pace that they will probably be wanting now, and pushing after the drivers around them as well. Unfortunately for Acid Master, those soft compound tyres, they haven't worked just yet, or just as well as they could do. He has lost the DRS now on AC Immortal. Now he's got pressure from X Gamer right behind him now. These two in a battle of their own as they start lap 9, and the Aston Martin of X Gamer there is pushing Acid Masters to the limit now on those soft compound tyres. Have we already seen the maximum from these soft compound tyres already? I'm not quite sure. Of course, AC Immortal's got a lot of pace, so as we've seen him win quite a few races in the last few weeks or so. It might just be that the pace difference there for AC Immortal is very high indeed, that he's got himself up the order. But unfortunately, Acid Masters 2 seconds back now from the AlphaTauri. It's going to put him under pressure instead from the guys behind, rather than looking to attack ahead. So now he's going to have to try and defend. You're looking at those wing mirrors now of the Aston Martin of Gamer looming closer and closer. The DRS there pulling the Aston Martin closer to the diffuser of that Red Bull. And now towards the traditional turn 1 of Cop's corner. Now into the corner they go. They swing the car in and hope the car can stick so it doesn't go too wide. They haven't gone too wide on this occasion. Good stuff indeed. But can X Gamer there make a move now as they come through Maggots and Beckett's? Can he make a move down the hangar straight towards Stowe corner? It might be the time for the Aston Martin. He's almost pushing the Red Bull there through the corners there. Here he goes now. The DRS is activated on the Aston Martin. It's going to be side by side down at the hangar straight, already towards Stowe, towards the braking zone, and the Aston Martin is ahead into P4. He's got the move done, and up into the up in the top 4 positions now is the Aston Martin of X Gamer. Aston Masters there not going to give up though. He's going to be sticking as close as he can to that Aston Martin for as long as possible as well. Through the corner of through the final corner, sorry, goes Kydell, German, and AC Immortal there, all within 0.5 of a second. A yellow flag as we have Acid Masters off the circuit. Reflection goes through for P5. Acid Masters had a spin there on the exit of the final corner. That has lost him the front wing. He's going to have to do a whole lap there without that front wing as well. That is going to cost him a lot of time compared to the drivers around him as well. So that is not good news. I'm not quite sure what happened to Acid Masters there. We didn't quite see it from the angle we were looking at, but that is not good news for himself and for the Red Bull team as well. He's going to have to make sure that he doesn't get in his way of his teammate now as well, because that is going to, of course, hold him up through the corners. He might be quite quick down the straights, but I'm not quite sure in the corners it will be very good. Vessier, they're just going through into P5 as well. Oh, almost contact there from Jinner on the back of Acid Masters as well. He needs to get himself through Luffield unscathed, and Jinner has already got himself through. Ewok has now got to try and get past this stricken Red Bull who's having a bit of trouble there on those soft compound tyres as well. It's not the softs that are the problem, it's just the lack of front wing, because of course having that spin at the final corner has cost Acid Masters here massively. It won't be too bad, I don't think. He'll be able to come back out and get his pace underway as German has switched places with AC Immortal there into Stowe. Looks like German has been caught napping a bit there from the AlphaTauri driver, and up into P2 goes AC Immortal there ahead of the Alpine into Vale and now into Club Corner as well, switching places through there. Acid Masters now coming back round through Stowe as well. Can he get himself back to the pits? Like I said, he'll have to get his front wing sorted out and get his front wing changed as he comes into the pit lane now. Get the car slowed down as well. Yellow flags for Kiki, who's off the circuit at Stowe as well. Seems like Stowe's has caused a few problems, and Kiki's got himself back underway. He's not coming into the pits there. He's not got any damage, but he's just gone off the circuit there somehow. So he needs to get himself back underway there. Just Kiki, good stuff indeed. Acid Masters is back in the pits. He's in for a wing change and onto a set of the hard compound tyres, I think that is. No, it's medium compound tyres, I think, for the... no, it's hards for the Red Bull. Sorry about that. Good, we're back. Onto the hard compound tyres goes Acid Masters. Like I said, he's going to be quite far back down the queue, but we've seen the pace from the Red Bull driver in qualifying. I think he'll get himself back into the points paying positions in this race if he keeps going at the rate that he can do. Thibaut gets himself back up the order into P10 there ahead of Vintage now. The hard compound tyre runner of Vintage is looking good at the moment. Indeed, Kiki is having a bit of trouble there. And Acid Master we have just seen going into the pits as well. The likes of Gernman, X Gamer and Immortal are up at the top of the frame at the moment. On the hard compound tyres as well, but here goes Immortal trying to go around the outside of Stowe corner. He's got the move done there. Kaidel there has given him very much a lot of space there. As into the pits goes German, I think. German's calling it a day there on the hard compound tyres already. X Gamer up into P3 in that case, and Vessia there and Jinna battling away into Stowe corner as well. Immortal sets the fastest lap of the race, and there we go. Vessia there, sorry, Jinna there up into once again into a Vale corner there. They're battling away side by side. We can't quite see what is going on here. Jinna there on the curb and now going round the outside into the final corner. They're going to go side by side through turn one. This is not going to end well, and Vessia I think just very wisely backing off there. He can make the move at a later stage. German has decided to come into the pitch. He's done 10 laps on the hard compound tyres. He's switching to the medium compound tyres now as Jinna and Vessia are switching places into the next few complexes of corners. German, they're coming out of the pit lane. He's going to be coming out in P12 onto the medium compound tyres. So looking to go for it on those medium compound tyres. He's not too far back from the rest of the train. Thibaut's had a spin there at the exit of... where is that? That's the exit of turn 3, isn't it? He's got himself back underway. And yeah, he got himself cooked on the curb there as well, unfortunately for him. That's sent him round another spin for the Alfa Romeo driver. Acid Masters has had a spin as well. And it looks like they're just not... It seems like everyone's having a bit of trouble now on this as we got into lap 12. A few drivers now having problems there on the car. But Acid Masters there looking to get himself back underway. Of course, those fresh hard compound tyres will be looking to go long in this stint and get himself back in the queue. Tio there has just got himself back underway as well. Hopefully he can get himself sorted and get himself back up into the points pay positions where he was running in P10. Chewy's got himself up into P10 now as well. Of course, with German's pit stop, German's only 2 seconds behind Chewy now, and of course with those medium compound tyres, once they get warmed up, they'll be up to maximum pace. Swanshanks picks up a penalty there in P13. That's the third penalty. Sorry, it's the 5th penalty we've got so far. I'm not quite sure how many penalties we've got. Vessier, Jinna, Ewok, and then we've got Swanshanks and Thibaut as well. We've got the 3-second penalties so far. Like I said, Acid Masters there will be looking to go long in this stint, so he's 24 seconds behind. That's already less than a pit stop behind Thibaut, so he's already catching up to the queue. Looks like Ewok and Jinna have caught up to Vessier and looking to push the Red Bull through the next complex of corners as well. Jinna there into P5 potentially. We might see along the Wellington Straight as we go round now into the DRS zone, and DRS is activated. The red light is flashing there on that Williams though, as through goes Jinna there, trying to go down the outside, sorry, of the Red Bull. He's not made the move stick just yet, and FSCA doing a good job there of putting the car in the right place as they go round Luffield now as well, making sure he keeps that position for the time being. Gerwin has got past Chewy down the Wellington Straight as well. up into the points paying positions, back into the points paying positions, I should say, for Gerdman and Chewy. They're just dropping outside the points paying positions for the time being, but he's not too far back from the likes of the points, so I wouldn't say it's all doom and gloom just yet for Chewy. He's doing a good job there in the Haas team, as is Serious Mushroom there, who's currently in P8 as well, so it could be double points for the Haas potentially. We'll have to wait and see how they can do. But so far so good for the time being, and like I said, I think Gerdman, they're just trying to throw a bit of spanner in the works there for the strategy there. AC Immortal sets the fastest lap of the race there. He's got himself up into the lead. I missed that completely, unfortunately, but he's got himself up into the lead now. Has AC Immortal there on the hard compound tyres, but we'll have to wait and see if there's going to be a bit of a strategic play there in the hands of Gerdman. Of course, switching very early from the hards on lap 10 it was onto the medium compound tyres. So he's gone on lap 11 I think it was now, but he's gone for a different strategy completely. He started on the hards, did 10 laps and thought, now these aren't the right tyres for me, as he sets the fastest lap of the race as well to boot. So that's good news for Gerdman. That means he's got the right pace there on those medium compound tyres, and he can get himself back in this race potentially. We'll have to wait and see where he can get himself back up to, but we'll find out very, very shortly. I think the pace there from the Alpine there will be very evident to see in the next few laps, of course, with the fastest lap already into the Luffield complex of corners again. Vessier and Jinner side by side almost, and Ewok there waiting in the wings for any pieces to pick up as well. So Ewok, they're doing a good job there in P7 for the Mercedes, has gained a couple of places from the start of the race as well. We're on to lap 14. We're almost a third of the way through already, and it's been pretty good racing so far. Jinner there going side by side on the exit of Copse. It's going to be close indeed through Maggots and Beckett's here as well. Into Maggots and Beckett's they go. Jinner has got the lead there on the entry to the corner. Vessier there just dropping out of the fight there just for very briefly to protect himself, I think. As now I think he's going to have DRS though down at the hangar straight, which is going to be good news indeed as he gets the position back potentially into Stowe. Going down around the outside into Stowe. He's got the move done, has he? He's hanging around the outside. He's got the move done there. Vessier back up into P5. These two still going on now. Down the inside into Vale goes Jinner, and there's no contact there thankfully, because that's an easy way to clip a wing and go into a spin, but he's managed to keep himself on the circuit there, Jinner. Oh no, he's not. He's off the circuit this time. Ewok might be interested in that as well now. Into turn 1. No, he's having to bide his time into turn 1 this time. Jinner goes wide once again. I think that's it. The position is done there for Jinner. He's lost the position, unfortunately, to Ewok as well. And I think that just a couple of instances where Jinner went off the circuit. Those hard compound tyres, I don't think had as much grip as he wanted there. And that has cost him a bit of time. And he's actually cost him quite a lot here. I'm not quite sure if there's a technical issue there for the Williams driver, but he's lost quite a lot of time there to the Mercedes there and the Red Bull. Those two carrying on their battle down the Wellington Straight, but nothing doing there for Jinner, who's dropped out of the DRS by almost 0.5 of a second, and whereas he was quite closely battling with the Red Bull even on the last lap. So I'm not quite sure what's happened there to Jinner there. Serious Mushroom might be interested in this battle as well now, because he's now looking at the back of the Williams and almost within DRS range as well. But we'll come back to that. Yellow flag in sector 2. Gerdman's around. Gerdman, we just saw switch onto the intermediate, onto the medium compound tyres. He's onto the freshest tyres on the grid at the moment, and unfortunately they're dropping down the order as we've got it's an Alfa Romeo there of Swanshanks. They're right behind him now. As unfortunately with Gerdman, he had a problem there on the exit of Luffield, pushing a bit too hard on the exit, and the traction there just wasn't available for that for the Alpine, and he's gone round again. Oh, he's almost off the circuit once again there, and he's kept it very nicely indeed on the grey stuff there, sliding it through the exit of the Maggots and Beckett's complex of corners, and now into Stowe as well. But I'm not quite sure if there's an issue there for the Alpine driver. He's managed to get himself through Stowe corner okay, but I think just trying to get himself back up the order now is the next phase for the Alpine driver. It seems that car is very unstable there as you're going through Vale and Club now, and it just seems to be trying to correct the car, trying to keep the corrections through that car as much as possible, because it seems like it just wants to kick out and go the opposite way. But Gerdman there has got himself back up into the order, back into the fight. No, he's not. He's gone for a spin there, and Kiki there is. I thought he was going to collect Kiki there, but he hasn't, thankfully. Ewok has got himself past Vessier there into Luffield this time down the Wellington Straight. The move has been made by the Mercedes driver up into P5. There goes Ewok there, and now P6 now for Vessier as the roles have reversed. But there we go. Unfortunately, like I said, we'll come back to that battle because I think Gerdman there is having a problem. I'm not quite sure what's happened to Gerdman though, because like I said, he was going absolutely fine for the last 14 or so laps, and now we've got onto lap 15 and it's become a problem as he's once again pushing too hard through the through the exit of Luffield. And that is, I'm not quite sure what's going on there, because it seems as we've got another problem there, I think, with the Alfa Romeo. No, not quite. Seems all right for him. But yeah, I'm not quite sure what's happened to German there, because like I said, he was absolutely fine in the previous 14 laps or so. Ewok and Vessier switching places again into Stowe. This DRS battle has been going on throughout the ages, as German there is off the circuit once again. Reflection is in the pits there. He's done 15 laps there on the soft compound tyres, so that is going to be him done and dusted now on the softs, and off those onto something else now, as he's going to be tumbling down in the order. It's a very long pit lane, of course, through here. So hopefully German can get himself back underway. Yeah, like I said, I'm not quite sure what is the problem there, because like I said, he was running absolutely fine in the Alpine up until, like I said, lap 14 or so, and he made the early stop, made the early call to go into the pits as well, didn't he? So yeah, I'm not quite sure what the problem is there for the Alpine there in terms of the stability of the car. Seems to be having issues. Reflection coming out the pit lane now into P12. Well, I think he's just been in P12. Yes, he is. Vessier and Ewok once again battling into Luffield again, and this has really brought the fight back for Ginner as well. Sirius Mushroom going to be joining this battle soon as well. Those four are going to make it a four-way battle very shortly, I think, as once again we've got a Red Bull and a Mercedes going into Cops side by side. No, not quite. The Mercedes this time backs out, but Vessier there up into P4 now, with the stops there for the likes of German and for Reflection as well. Vessier is trying to hang on to that P4 position. I think German there picks up a penalty, but I'm not quite sure what is going on there for German, because like I was saying, stability-wise, the setup just seems to have gone completely the wrong way, even though there has not been any changes to the setup, of course, because they're in Parc Fermé. But yeah, since lap 15, German's not been able to keep that car under control, has he? Even though it was absolutely fine for the first 15 laps or so. I'm not quite sure. Maybe the hard compound tyres were offering a bit more stability than the mediums, but I'm not quite sure what the strategy is there. As Vessier goes through into, he keeps P5 now down the back straight, and now onto lap 18 for the Red Bull driver and the Mercedes, through into the next complex of corners as well. And look there, Gino has caught up to this battle here. Sirius Mushroom is just lagging behind a bit now, but he could get himself in the DRS zone if he can get himself just another couple of tenths up the order, then he will be in the fight as well. Vintage, they're doing a good job. They're consistently coming through. Chewy there also in P9 now in the points, as German picks up a penalty for speeding in the pit lane and retires in the pits. So that is him done and dusted. Yeah, for whatever reason, I'm not quite sure what's happened to German's car, but I think he just decided to give up there, unfortunately, which is a bit of a shame. But now we got the battle once again for the Mercedes and the Red Bull. Here we go into Cops again, but no, they've decided to keep it clean once again this time as well. So good stuff from both Vessier and from Ewok. They actually know how to drive compared to some real life drivers as well, which is very good to see. Reflection there on his 1 lap old hard compound tyres. He's sticking good he's in P12 at the moment. He's not been able to gain just yet. His teammate now, Kydell, from P2 in this race, is into the pits. So let's have a look and see what he's going to go on to. Here is a minute he moves for into Stowe corner, but Gino actually getting the move done on the Mercedes instead of the Red Bull. So the Red Bull stays protected for the time being. He stays in P4, and Gino now up into P5. Ewok there is trying to line up a move now back into club corner. Can it go side by side through here? No, not quite. And he has to stay in P6. But Gino has now got himself up into P5, trying to get himself up in the order. Kydell coming out the pit lane now, and he will be coming out, I think, just ahead of Vintage. Onto the hard compound tyres goes Kydell. Of course, started on the medium compound tyres. So it's looking like a one-stop potentially for the McLaren driver. We'll have to find out. 20 or so laps on the mediums, and then 32 or so on the hards, roughly that is. Looks like it is the play for Kydell. Good stuff indeed. Vessier and Gino battling away into... Oh, there's contact there between the two of them, and I think that was on Gino's car. It's Gino itself, really, because, of course, going into that corner at that speed, the car on the outside is not really at fault of any instance there, as well as into now Cops corner we go. Vessier defending into Cops corner, and Gino now on the outside. That red light is flashing on Gino's car. That means that he's running out of energy, though, to use to try and get the overtake done. He's going to have to use the DRS only now to try and get himself through. But I think just dropping off the back there of the Red Bull through Maggots and Beckett's with the dirty air, that is enticing Ewok to make a move now with the extra DRS and ERS as well in the Mercedes. He's got himself up into, or side by side into Stowe. No, he's not got himself up into P4. He's having to stick behind the Williams for the time being. Now into Vale. Can he make a late lunge into the braking zone? No, not quite. They're still battling away, and this is both costing them time to Vessier. You can see Vessier in the distance there is already almost a second away from the from this battle here, from the Williams, I should say. But he's managed to keep him just inside that 1 second window. Has Jinner? No, not quite. He's just dropped outside just before the DRS detection point as well, and that is not good news for the Williams driver. That is cost him that battling with the Mercedes through Stowe into Vale as well as cost him the DRS now down at the next straight. Sirius Rushman's got himself in this battle as well now, and that is good news for the Haas driver, which is good news indeed for both the Haas drivers actually, because they're both in the points paying positions as it stands at the moment. And with German's retirement, I think that's going to be extra points available now for the drivers ahead, because of course German was we were expecting German to be back in the points and getting some good big points in this race. Unfortunately not in this one anymore, which means of course the points paying positions are now open for another driver to get that extra point instead of the Alpine. So potentially there'll be some more points available to the drivers coming through. Acid Masters we saw pit almost 9 laps ago. He is now catching up to the back of the queue. It was about 25 seconds the gap, now it's down to 16 seconds. So he is he's caught back by 8 seconds in the last few laps or so. So that's about a second a lap there to the back of the pack. So he is catching up now as Acid Masters. It's not all doom and gloom. Chewy there lining up a move on Vintage, but he's got Kiki for company as well in P10. So these guys just outside, just in the cusp of the points at the moment, are going to be battling down the back straight. Ewok picks up another penalty there. Jenner has got past Vessier. Ewok I thought was going off the circuit there. I thought it was a spin there, but it wasn't. It was just Ewok going into the pit lane. He's called it a day there on the medium compound tyres, and the Mercedes driver is just trundling down the pit lane now to get a new set of boots on that Mercedes car. Let's have a look and see what it's going to go on to. It's going to be the hard compound tyres to the end of the race, I would say. So that is good news. Ewok there done and dusted with the strategy calls. He is now going to come out of the pits there and looking to go as long as possible to the end of the race. So good stuff indeed from Ewok. Lovely indeed. Out of the pit lane he goes. He's going to be just ahead, I think, of Thibaut, potentially. It'll be close indeed as he comes over the hill. There he goes, and you can just see the Alfa Romeo in the background coming through. Of course, the hard compound tyres do take a bit longer to warm up, so he will potentially get within the DRS there, would Thibaut. But yeah, like I said, it takes about a lap for those hard compound tyres to get warmed up to operating temperature. So it does take, does make sure does take a little bit while. So I think Thibaut there with the DRS potentially could get himself past on this lap if Ewok's tyres take a bit too long to warm up. But now into Luffield, you'll see this the difference in grip. I think the medium compound tyres, albeit 20 laps old, will be able to get themselves round Luffield much nicer than these cold hard compound tyres. As Thibaut there goes round the exit there, he's still within the DRS range there of the Mercedes, so that will be useful for pulling himself along. The gap now down to 14.6 seconds between Aston Masters and Thibaut, so it really is coming down indeed between the Red Bull and the Alfa Romeo. And of course the pack will be able to close up again once the pit stops are made. Vessier there into the pits as well. Just as I was saying that, he's called it a day on 20 lap old medium compound tyres, or 21 lap old medium compound tyres, once he crosses the start finish line here. Yeah, the Red Bull there going to be into the pits now to put on a new set of tyres. Let's have a look. It's going to be the hard compound tyres as well, same as Ewok there we saw on the last lap. So Vessier they're calling it a day there on the medium compound tyres. He's going to lose out a few positions, of course, but those drivers who've gone through have yet to make a pit stop, so that means he'll be able to regain those positions when, of course, they come into the pits. Good stuff indeed. We're on to 22 of 50. Oh, Jesus, out of the pit lane. That is not good news for the Red Bull. And he's had a bit of slide through there, and that is going to cost him a bit of position, I think. And now deep in the corner as well, because, of course, those tyres are not warmed up. And Thibaut there is going to get through on the inside there into turn 3. He's got the move done and dusted there. Has Thibaut as well up into P12. Of course, I think the Red Bull's got the DRS this time, so now down into the down the Wellington straight there into into the Luffield complex. He's got the move done once again, but of course those tyres still not warmed up just yet, so it's going to be a lot of pressure there on the Red Bull there to keep himself on the grey stuff, not spinning the car and keeping himself in the right order as well. It has been managed just about. So there, the Vessier, they're up into P12, but of course he needs to make sure he gets those tyres warmed up, and I think Thibaut might have something to say about that. Down the next straight, down the hanger straight towards Stowe Corner, into the pits as well goes Serious Mushroom from P5. He's got himself into the pit lane now as well as the Haas driver, so I think that's it. He's calling it a day now on the medium compound tyres. Hopefully his teammate doesn't come in as well, but saying that, Chewy has also come into the pit lane, so this is going to be a double stack there from the Haas team. Let's have a look and see where Serious Mushroom is. He's coming into the pits now already onto the hard compound tyres, and he's going to be underway. There should be enough time, hopefully, for Chewy. As Chewy there is coming down the pit lane, you can see his teammate there just trundling away from the pit box. Let's have a look now as Chewy comes down the pit lane. He has been held slightly there by the issues there with the mechanics. Unfortunately, he is now out of the way now of the mechanics, as he got himself back onto the pit lane and now getting himself underway. But unfortunately, that is going to cost him, I think, the position. He's going to be at the back of the grid. Unfortunately, now for Chewy, who's coming out of the pit lane now, and he needs to take it easy there, because of course we've seen a few instances on the exit of the pit lane as well in the last couple of laps on those hard compound tyres. He's got himself underway, which is good news. Kydell there is in P4 on the youngest of the hard compound tyres compared to the likes of Serious Mushroom, Vessier there, and of course Chewy, who's just come out of the pit lane now. The hard compound warm-up is so difficult as well. You can see just trying to get those hards rotated into the corner is so difficult. Acid Masters now is only 10 seconds behind Thibaut. That gap has been coming down massively in the last few laps, which is great news indeed for Acid Master to try and get himself back up the order. But he is going to be there or thereabouts, I think, at the end of this race. Swanshanks is yet to make a pit stop, as is Kiki and Vintage, and then we've got Jinner there in P3 currently, X-Gamer in P2, and AC Immortal, our race leader, who have yet to make a stop so far. So there are still a few stops to be made for the drivers ahead of him. So there we go. Serious Mushroom has lost the place there to Vessier. I'm not quite sure what's happened there to Serious Mushroom. There, he's having a few technical difficulties, it looks like, because he's now under pressure from Thibaut as well. He's going through Vale and Club. He looks to be all right, but I'm not quite sure if there's a some sort of technical issue there that's cost him a few places, or if there was a mistake there from the Haas driver down the main straight, or down the back straight, I should say. So hopefully he can get that sorted. He is outside. He's inside the DRS range now of the Red Bull, just about, which at least will help pull him along down the straight as well. So good stuff indeed. Kiki is being pulled along nicely there from Vintage at the moment. Vintage doing a great job there, up into P5, of course, yet to make a stop just yet. We should expect the hard compound runners to probably be in around lap 29, lap 30 or so, potentially. We'll have to find out, but I'm guessing that based on the duration of the medium compound runners who started on the mediums. They did about 21, 22 laps on the mediums and then called it a day. So I'm guessing we'll be looking at 21 or 22 laps on the mediums at the end of the race as well. But we'll have to wait and see. Looks like Kiki there doing a good job there, trying to get himself up the order, and Vintage there is just getting in the way of him at the moment, it looks like. So down the hanger straight we go. Oh, there's a bit of a late move there indeed from both drivers there, but Kiki up into P5, and now getting his sights set on getting himself up the order as well, further up the order, further up the road, that is. So now up into P5 is the Ferrari driver. Vintage there dropping down into P6. Of course, Vintage has a penalty to his name as well. There's 6 seconds for Jinner, I should say, in P3. There's currently 3 seconds of Reflection and Swanshanks in the pit lane, as I thought there was an incident there, but it's Reflection getting past Swanshanks, who just made a pit stop. So there we go, 6 seconds for Jinner. The other Williams of Vintage has got 3 seconds, then has Swanshanks with 3 seconds in 8th at the moment. Thibaut there just gets a 5 second penalty for speeding in the pit lane. His Ewok's got 6 seconds of penalties. Vessier's got 6 seconds of penalties as well. So yeah, Swanshanks with 3, and then Thibaut, who's just come into the pit lane behind his teammate again as well. It seems like the teammates seem to want to be double stacking in this one, as Swanshanks now up into P11. Acid Masters, I should say, up into P11, getting through Swanshanks, and Thibaut, who's come into the pits as well for a new set of the hard compound tyres. So yeah, both the Alfa Romeos there making their pit stops. Chewy coming through now into turn 1 there to try and get himself after Swanshanks, who of course just come out of the pits on the fresh, but the cold hard compound tyres. So there we go. Then that is almost the order resuming. I think Acid Masters may have to make a pit stop at the end of this, towards the end of this race, potentially onto the soft soft compound tyres. We'll have to find out what the strategy is there from the Rebel driver, but of course having to make that early stop there for a wing change. He did start on the soft compound tyres and he was doing a great job as into the pits comes Jenner as well. So Acid Masters there might have to make another pit stop later on in this race. We'll have to find out. He's really bringing that gap down though to the guys ahead of him there to get himself back within the points paying positions, or in the region of at least, so that is looking good indeed. Jenner is in the pits. Kiki is carrying on, as is Vintage as well, it looks like, as they go round now Club Corner, and of course Reflection has made a pit stop earlier on in this race, so he's looking to go to the end of this one. So yeah, we'll have to wait and see what the strategy is going to be like for the other drivers who get to make a pit stop. But Jenner now coming out of the pit lane in on the medium compound tyres there. He's onto the hill now, onto the exit of the pit lane now, as well as Ewok comes out, but Ewok is behind him, I should say. Again, the warm-up there on the medium compound tyres, not so bad as the hards, so we'll be looking to get himself underway quite quickly, I think, is Jenner. So looking good indeed for the remainder of this race. We're halfway through exactly now on this this one. We are 26 out of 52. That is the halfway point, and I think that is time for a drink. Bear with me 1 second. Oh, very refreshing indeed. Right then, actually on lap 27 there, we've got an extra one, but yeah, we've got the top two yet to pit. The same for Kiki and Vintage there in P4 and 5 as well, and we're not sure if Acid Masters is yet to pit as well, so there might be some more position changes very, very soon when the drivers do decide to come into the pit lane. I think, no, we haven't. Who have we got? Yeah, it's Tebow has been lapped there by Acid Masters, sorry, by AC Immortal and by X Gamer there. But of course, those two are yet to make a pit stop, and Tebow has of course made his pit stop. You can see there in the background from Chewy that that is the race leader behind us of AC Immortal. But of course, everybody apart from AC Immortal and Gamer have made a pit stop as well. So we would expect that everyone to be back on the lead lap very, very shortly indeed, once of course AC Immortal does make his pit stop, and X Gamer as well. But looking good indeed for AC Immortal at the moment. He's controlling the pace very nicely. He's got a 7.8 second gap to X Gamer there in P2, and they're both very comfortable actually to Kaidel at the moment. But of course Kaidel has made his stop there onto the hard compound tyres, 8 lap old hard compound tyres as well, so he's looking to he's looking to go to the end, I think, on those hard compound tyres. We'll have to wait and see how long they can hold on for, but judging by the stops that we've had, we're looking to see them go about 35 laps or so, and then the rest of the race on the medium compound tyres. Here comes AC Immortal now trying to line up a move on Chewy, I think, to see if he can get himself up the order, but we'll have to wait and see if Chewy just letting him through there as well. Very courteous there from the Haas driver. Yellow flags in 2 and in 1, I should say, and that is Tebow there. He's off the circuit at turn 3, just getting himself back underway. Jenner picks up a 3-second penalty there. That is a lot of penalties just picked up there from Jenner. I think that's 2 penalties in one go, wasn't it? I'm not quite sure, as Jenner picks up another 3-second penalty there. So that is 9 seconds now for Jenner, which is not good news for the Williams driver. Vintage is still yet to pit. Serious Mushroom and Vessier switching places into Stowe Corner, and the Haas now up into P9 there. Vessier there trying to fight back into Vale. There's no dice just yet, as Serious Mushroom keeps the position for the time being. And now Vessier needs to try and get himself back up the order. Of course, these two fighting for some points in this race, it looks like. And of course, with Vintage and Kiki yet to pit as well, they could be able to gain an extra couple of spots in this race as well once those pit stops do come into action. Of course, they will be on the faster tyre as well, though, so they'll have to make sure that they can get themselves a nice enough of a gap to fight back in this race to get themselves back up into the points paying positions potentially. But we'll have to wait and see how it all unfolds in the next 20 or so laps. But 23 laps now, isn't it? Good stuff indeed, and like I said, we'll be. I think this is the closest battle on track, so we'll stick with this one for the time being. Vessier, they're just dropping off the back there slightly of Serious Mushroom, despite having the DRS down at the Wellington Straight, but nonetheless, he's still within that 1 second window. So Jenner there is looking to bring that gap down to Reflection and to Vintage and Kiki there. He's looking good. Vessier picks up a penalty there on the exit of Copse Corner. Jenner there looking good to get some good points for the Williams team if he can keep it all together there where at this stage of the race, of course, the penalties will come back to be added on to the classification at the end of the race, and there is the penalty situation for the time being. Thibaut, I think, has got some extra penalties that he needs to sort himself out in the pit lane, just for speeding in the pits. I think those were. I'm not quite sure how he's got that all added up, but there we go. Vessier there up the inside into Stowe, and he's got that P9 position back from Serious Mushroom there. These two sticking at each other there for the next few laps, I would imagine, and that'll be a battle to unfold throughout the race as they reach lap 30. Oh no, it's lap 29, sorry. So I'm sure the timer is based on, I thought it was based on what I was looking at. Acid Masters is back in the pits. He's done 17 laps on those medium compound tyres, on those hard compound tyres, I should say. So he's not liking the hard compound tyres so much. And I think he's coming into the pits to switch onto a different type of tyre, and it is the medium compound tyre that is going onto that Red Bull there. He's going to be dropping down the order, but will be much faster, of course, when he does come out of the pit lane. So like I said, we'll have to wait and see how much faster, but we expect there's some good pace there from the Red Bull driver as Vessier and Serious Mushroom once again switching places down the Wellington Straight into Luffield they go, and now the Haas is back up the top. Reflection picks up a penalty there for his for multiple warnings there going through into Maggots and Beckett's there from Cop's corner, and I think Chewy is still going all right. Acid Masters is back out onto the circuit there. He's in P13 and is now trying to get himself after the likes of Chewy there. He's got 18 seconds, but of course those medium compound tyres, I'd expect them to make that to the end of the race, that is, and I'm expecting some great pace there from Acid Masters that we saw in qualifying as well. So we'll have to wait and see what he can do. Into the pits comes Kiki there from P4. He's done 28 laps, or 29 laps now, on those intermediates as Vessier and Serious Mushroom once again switching places into Stowe corner. This time Vessier getting the better of the Haas, and Gina there into the, sorry, not Gina, Kiki into the pits there onto the medium compound tyres. So there we go then. That, I think, is the strategy unfolding, or done and dusted, I should say, for the Ferrari driver. Vessier and Serious Mushroom will come through, and that will be Kiki down into P10. But I think you might come out ahead, just ahead of, well, it's actually Immortal there, who's the next driver to come through. But of course, he is yet to pit. So here comes Kiki now through the pit exit there onto the track there. He's in the points paying positions. He's got quite a gap now to Serious Mushroom, as you can see there on the track map as well. But of course on the fresher medium compound tyres he will have extra pace compared to those hard compound tyres and can definitely go to the end from here. So we'll have to wait and see what pace he can unlock from that Ferrari. I've got 11 seconds to bring that gap down to Serious Mushroom and to Vessier as well. Let's see what he can do in this race. Gina there is looking good already indeed on those medium compound tyres. He's done 4 laps on those medium compound tyres and he's within the DRS now of Reflection for P5, so looking good indeed is Gina as well. Reflection doing a great job as well, starting on those soft compound tyres has helped him get up the order in the first stint as Gina there goes for a spin there on the exit of Maggots and Beckett's, and he almost got the car pointed right after straight away, but unfortunately not. Ewok has gone through there. And those tyres are going to be roasting right now on that Williams as well. He's got the DRS now to get himself back underway. But yeah, those tyres are going to be very warm indeed. So through Stowe he goes. Hopefully he can get the car pointing in the right direction and no spins. He has done that very nicely indeed. So hopefully those tyres can cool themselves down. But unfortunately he's lost one position there to Ewok there as Ewok goes through. And that has cost him a bit of time there, unfortunately, for Jenner. But he's doing a good job there. Still in the points paying positions and looking good indeed in the Williams for the time being. His teammate of Vintage is yet to pit. So he's still going there, is Vintage, doing a great job there in P4, and yeah, looking great, very comfortable indeed at the moment. Kydell and Ace Kydell is currently in a net P1, I think, depending on where AC Immortal is going to be and when AC Immortal is going to pit as well, because he's carrying on his AC Immortal. X Gamer is coming into the pits now. He's called it a day on those hard compound tyres. So that is him done and dusted now. Is X Gamer there on those hards, and now AC Immortal there. As I think Acid Masters has had a problem there. He was 18 seconds behind Chewy. He's now 19.5. So I think Acid Masters has had a problem there as well at some point of this lap. Potentially can get himself back on the. Can he get himself back on the lead lap ahead of X Gamer? I think he can, as can Tivo as well, which is good news indeed, because those guys, of course, were on the wrong lap there basically, but now have got themselves ahead of the race leaders in terms of getting themselves back onto the lead lap compared to X Gamer. And of course, I think with AC Immortal yet to pit as well, they will probably be out ahead of him too. I'm not quite sure what's happened to Acid Masters here because he's having problems. He's losing time to Chewy. I think Chewy, of course, has got the DRS on the Alfa Romeo of Swanshanks there, might be helping pulling him along, but we would expect Acid Masters with his pace and those medium compound tyres, once they've been switched on now, to really be getting after the likes of Chewy as well. But unfortunately for Acid Masters, it's not looking good at the moment. He's losing time compared to the drivers around him, or at least ahead of him as well, unfortunately for him. So that is not looking good for Acid Masters at this stage of the race. So there we go then, we'll have to come back to that one. Here goes Ewok and Jinna switching places again into turn 3. Bit of an odd place to make a move there as AC Immortal is in the pit lane. So he's called it a day now on his 32 lap old hard compound tyres, and is now coming back into the pit lane for his first stop of the race. So this should be, I think Vintage is the next one to make a stop as well. Onto the medium compound tyres goes AC Immortal, and I think he'll come back out comfortably in the lead of this race, but it depends whether he will still have lapped Acid Masters and of course Tebow as well. But I think he'll be just coming out the pit lane as they go through. And so now Acid Masters and Tebow back onto the lead lap for the time being. That is AC Immortal back out of the pit lane. And there we go then. It looks like the gap is coming down between himself and X-Gamer, but we'll have a look and see exactly what it's going to be. It was about 7.5 seconds before the pit stop phase, and Gamer has got a bit of an undercut there as well. It's now 6.6, 6.4. So of course that Gamer has done a good job there of bringing the gap down slightly as well in that pit stop phase. Unfortunately for Kydell, of course, we did see pit quite a long time ago onto the hard compound tyres on, I think it was about lap 19, wasn't it? And looking to go to the end on those hard compound tyres, but he's been undercut there, or overcut, I should say, sorry, by X-Gamer there. Onto the medium compound tyres goes the Aston Martin, and that is the Aston Martin up into P2, and he's now 5.3 seconds behind Immortal. That is great guns indeed from X-Gamer. He's really done a great job on that last outlap to bring the gap down to the race leader, and good job indeed from Gamer. They're doing a fantastic race from himself and for the Aston Martin team as well. Vintage there is still doing a great job in the Williams. He's done 32 laps now. This is his 33rd lap on the hard compound tyres, and he's been comfortably sitting in P4 for quite a long time now. Reflection, I think, will have something to say about that though, because he's now bringing the gap down to 1.7 seconds between P4 and P5, and I think that is potentially time for a bit of a pit stop there for Vintage, as I think that gap is going to come down quicker and quicker. Acid Masters there sets the fastest lap of the race, as I think we had a yellow flag for Chewy. Chewy's off the circuit there at the exit of turn 3. I'm not sure if there's any contact or any helping hand. X-Gamer there sets the fastest lap of the race as well. Good news indeed for him. I think there might be damage there for Chewy. I'm not quite sure if there was a coming together with himself and Swanshanks there potentially. I'm not quite sure. I think he was close to Swanshanks, but I don't think there was anything else. Any other problems, as Tebow's had an issue there as well. It looks like coming through onto the Wellington Straight. So I'm not quite sure what's happening there to these drivers here, but there seems to be problems all over the place now. Vintage is into the pit lane, and I think he's decided to call it a day now on those 33 lap old hard compound tyres. Fantastic stint indeed from Vintage as well. Good stuff from him. Let's see what he's going to go on to. His teammate there, Jinna, goes through into P5. Reflection, of course, into P4. Ewok goes up into P6. Vessia, I think, will come through, as will Serious Mushroom. We've got pit stops. I'm sorry, that is Vintage in the pits there. Kiki. Will Kiki be able to get himself up into P9? Let's have a look here as we come through and into the first turn for Kiki. He's got the move. He's up into P9 ahead of Vintage now. Vintage will come out in the points paying positions just about. Yep, he will do, because, of course, Swanshanks, they're coming down the main straight now. It's too far back. So Vintage does come out in the points paying positions for the time being, which is good news indeed, and on those fresh medium compound tyres can potentially set his sights on going after a few drivers ahead of him. Acid Masters gets past Chewy. Chewy there having a problem there, we saw at turn 3, and Tebow also having a problem as well. It looks like, where is he going? I'm not quite sure what the plan is there for a Tebow. He's got himself back underway. Chewy is coming into the pits. I think he's got a front wing change there for that Haas car, unfortunately, because we did see a bit of end plate damage on the left hand side, and there is a wing change coming for Chewy as well, which is very unfortunate indeed. He was doing a great job there, and it looked like he potentially could get into the cusp of the points paying positions as well at one point. But now onto the medium compound tyres, can look at setting his sights and getting himself back underway in this race. Yeah, unfortunate for Chewy, he's had a bit of a difficult start to his career there in the 100% league, but nonetheless he's doing a good job indeed. But there we go then, back up the order. Let's have a look. It seems to have stabilised the gaps now around here. 4.7 seconds there between X Gamer and Immortal. That is great news indeed for X Gamer. He's really done a great job of bringing that gap down. And like I said, it was over 7 seconds, wasn't it, at one point before the pit stop phase. And now after the pit stop phase, those mediums seem to have phased in very nicely indeed for the Aston Martin driver. Really doing a great job there on those medium compound tyres since the pit stop. And I think that might be encouraging him to try and get that gap down to Immortal as well. He's done a great job so far as Gamer on this first few laps of this stint, going purple there in sector 2 as well. That just shows the underlying pace now of X Gamer in the Aston Martin. He's looking great in this car as well, of course switching from the Ferrari team to the Aston Martin team full time, and now looking to get himself an extra point or two with the fastest lap, it looks like, as well, potentially on this lap. Let's have a look and see what he can do around club corner, and now up to the line. It looks pretty fast this lap indeed. Up to the line it is. He has unfortunately been, it's a 10th slower than his last time, so there we go. All the encouragement in the world, and unfortunately doesn't go fast enough, but I think he's currently got the fastest lap, so that's not too bad indeed. A 1:30.615 is currently the fastest lap for the Aston Martin driver, and the fastest lap set by any driver on the current on the track at the moment. So good stuff indeed. Like I said, that is that at the moment. We've got 36 laps done and dusted. We've now got what we've got exactly. We've got 16 laps to go. So we're about 2/3 of the way through now, aren't we? So that is looking good indeed for all the drivers. You've done a great job so far, and looking good indeed for AC Immortal as well, who's currently in the lead of this race. I think just controlling the pace at the moment. Jidda there in P5 there on 10 lap old medium compound tyres. He's now got to chase down Reflection for P4, but these two drivers have done a great job there, Reflection and Jidda. Ewok they're doing a fantastic job as well in P6 from the Mercedes team. Just needs to keep it calm and consistent. He's got some good points coming his way, as has Vessier and Serious Mushroom. The likes of Kiki and Vintage, though, will be looking to potentially get a jump on Vessier and Serious Mushroom here as well. Those medium compound tyres will be up to temperature now, ready to get going, and we're looking to try and bring those gaps down. Only 6.5 seconds to go in 16 laps or so. It is doable for Kiki and for Vintage as well. Let's have a look and see what they can do. Immortal there sets the fastest lap of the race. I think he was just saving up some energy there, was Immortal there, to go a bit faster than the X Gamer there, as we just set the fastest lap at the end of lap 36 there. What a lap indeed. I think it was what was it, a 30.196 there, so that was almost half a second faster than the previous fastest lap. So pretty good indeed there for pretty good indeed for AC Immortal there on his fresh medium compound tyres though, so it's not too bad. It's not too old, I should say. AC Immortal, I think, doing a good job here of actually sticking. Acid Master's actually doing a good job of sticking within the DRS range of the current race leader, and that will help bring him along to the rest of the pack as well, which is actually quite clever there from Acid Masters. So good job keep doing what you're doing. It's working well. Let's have a look and see what else is going on around here. It looks like Serious Mushroom and Vessier, they've calmed down on their battle. They were, of course, battling away hand over fist, I think, just before their pit stop phases, and now have come into the pits, and that has calmed everything down slightly, which is good news. But there we go. 1.6 seconds is the gap there. 6.6 still to Kiki. It's staying quite roughly the same at the moment between Kiki and Serious Mushroom, so we might have to wait and see in the next few laps if that's going to start changing in one of the other drivers' favours, but we'll find out. So far it is nice and quiet, which is good news. So like I said, I'm sure it's all going to kick off. We were expecting rain as well, weren't we? So potentially we might find some rain coming towards the end of the race. We will find out. But we've done 38 laps so far of the 52, and there is not been any rain to boot so far. And like I said, it's been a bit overcast this race, hasn't it? It's been like this all race long, this weather. So we might be expecting a bit of rain towards the end. We'll find out, of course. But at the moment, it doesn't look so bad. But potentially, we'll find some surprises in the next few laps or so. Those clouds are looming over Maggots and Beckett, but no raindrops are falling just yet. So we'll stay tuned to that one. Fingers crossed, it stays the way it is for now. Like I said, we had a bit of a well, it looked like we were going to have a wet start. We had a wet start to quali as well, didn't we? We had literally about 3 minutes of dry laps, I should say, in qualifying. And like I said, a few drivers there managed to get themselves out of the pits quickly to set a time on the board on the soft compound tyres before it started to rain. And then it switched to the intermediate compound tyres with only a few minutes. Well, with only a few minutes done in the qualifying session, it really just put the qualifying session to bed very early on. And then we have had these sort of overcast conditions ever since there for the race. On to lap 38 now of 52. And the gaps are stabilising around the area now. I think 6.6 now. The gap is going back up between X-Gamer and Immortal there. Unfortunately for X-Gamer, that is not what he wanted, but he's done a fantastic race nonetheless, has X-Gamer. It's been very impressive there from the Aston Martin driver. Of course, his first drive for the Aston Martin team, and he's back in, well, he's not, he's been in the Ferrari, of course, for the beginning of the season, but of course with the joint constructors in mind, racing in the Aston Martin team for the Gold division on the Sundays. Then of course he'll be racing in the Aston Martin as well now for the 100% league as well, so it makes it easier for him to get some extra points for his team, which is all good news. So elsewhere, the gap is now 7.1 seconds in the lead of this race between Gamer and Immortal. It seems to have stabilised elsewhere as well, and the gap now between Vessier and Mushroom is now 2.1. It's gone up by half a second there, unfortunately, in Vessier's favour, that is, because of course he doesn't want to be battling that Haas driver. He wants to be as far away with the Haas as possible. Currently on the penalty situation, we'll have a look quickly for Serious Mushroom. He is within the window. He's within the window actually to get up to P5, which will be a great result indeed for Serious Mushroom currently with Vessier, Ewok and Jinner's penalties. So potentially we could see Serious Mushroom jumping up the order at the end of this race. Aston Martin there is Aston Martin on fire, says Equaz there in the comments section. Of course, X-Gamer doing a great job, of course, switching from the Ferrari to the Aston Martin team full time as well, because of course he races for them in the Gold division as well, like I said. So of course, unfortunately for KD, he's decided not to turn up on this one, so it could have been some double points for the Aston Martin team tonight. But X-Gamer there getting the points for 2 tonight as well, looking good indeed in the Aston Martin and currently sitting comfortably in P2 as well. Yeah, very nice indeed for X-Gamer. There we go then. That is it for the time being. It's gone very quiet at the moment. Lap 40 now at 52. We're on the way to the end. We're in the last stretch. So yeah, just a few more laps to go now in this one. X-Gamer there is looking good at the moment for a double podium there. He's got a second podium in a row, of course. I think he got a podium there in what was the last round? It was of course it was Canada, wasn't it, last week? So good stuff indeed for the drivers there, of course, practicing there for the Canadian Grand Prix that took place in gold, silver and bronze earlier on this week as well. And of course this is a bit of practice for the drivers there who are taking part in gold, silver and bronze this weekend, or from this weekend. Because of course that is what's coming up in the division races as well in the next few days. Unfortunately, Tebow, they're having a bit of a problem there through turns 3 once again. It seems turn 3 is causing a few issues, unfortunately, for the drivers there tonight. I'm not quite sure why, but there we go. That is where the problem corner is, and we've had a few drivers there as well have a bit of a spin there at Stowe. Nonetheless, that is that. Serious Mushroom there coming through into turns 1, 2, and now 3 as well. Looking good indeed for this one. And blimey, I'm getting a bit tired now, aren't I? You can tell. So, like I said, 40 laps have been done and dusted. It's been a good race so far. Really interesting stuff as well. Even though unfortunately, a couple of drivers that we were expecting to join in quali haven't been able to turn up, but they weren't able to turn up before the race started anyway. There we go. So that is that done and dusted. Unfortunately, the Kiki now has got the gap down to 4.5 seconds though between Serious Mushroom as well. So that might mean that Kiki could be putting some pressure on the Haas driver very shortly. We'll have to find out. But Serious Mushroom, they'll be looking ahead of him rather than behind him for the time being. The penalty situation is in his favour. If he can get to the finish line with these sort of gaps between the drivers ahead of him, then he could potentially get himself up into P5, which would be a fantastic result indeed for the Haas team. And yeah, that will really be a good bit of news there for Serious Mushroom as well. But at the moment, it seems to be all quiet on the Western Front, although technically Silverstone is in the Midlands, isn't it? So it's not really on the Western Front of anything. It's in the Middle Front. There we go. And of course, it was, if you're interested in the history of Silverstone, it was formerly an airfield that was used in the Second World War, and that is where the Hangar Strait and that sort of thing comes from as well. because of course it was a aircraft hangar that they were looking at, but that sort of thing has been dug up and built and moved away to make way for the grandstands and the famous racing circuit that we now know. And of course it is much more beneficial for us in F1 as F1 fans than it is an airfield. So yeah, I would prefer them to keep it this way because it's much more entertaining for me to watch rather than watching some planes. Hopefully we'll see some Formula 1 racing here for plenty more years as well. Like I said, it's a great spectacle to go to. If you haven't been to a British Grand Prix before, I very much advise you to go to one because even just for the atmosphere and for the fun during the weekend there as well, it's a lot more social than you think it would be. So yeah, so go in there and have a bit of fun. Hopefully one day ALR will be there as well. Potentially we might try and do an ALR trip or something like that with a few people to who are interested, obviously, to go there and have a bit of fun at Silverstone. But I think we tried to organise it. I think we actually tried to organise it back in the day, and I think it was literally organised for. We were organising it in 2020. I think it was January or February 2020, and then something called COVID hit. So that was sort of ruined our plans, and of course everything was taken off sale, and we couldn't get any tickets or anything like that. And of course everyone was shut inside. So yeah, that was the original plan, was to go, I think, to Silverstone in 2020, and now unfortunately we've had to. Well, we have to rethink those plans, and now we'll have to wait and see when we can try and go again. But it's quite difficult, it looks like, to try and get your hands on a ticket these days, because of course everybody is very keen to go to the F1 and get outside after they've been shut in for so long as well. But there we go. Gino there picked up another 3-second penalty. That is not good news for Gino. That is now 12 seconds, I think, for the Williams driver. 15 seconds, I should say, for the Williams driver. That is really going to be putting him in peril there of losing out a few places. I think he's going to be down to P8 at this stage of the race. Potentially, if Kiki can get within range of Serious Mushroom and use him to pull himself along, potentially Kiki could get within range of that position as well. Sorry, and move Gino down to P9 even. It could be on the cards. I'll have to wait and see. X Gamer is coming to the pit stage, changed onto the soft compound tyres. That is a very late call. Acid Master's also doing the same. No, Acid Master's onto the medium compound tyres, so that is an interesting strategy call there. Gamer there dropping down the order. He's dropped out of the top two now, and that is not good news there for Gamer, because he was comfortably within P2. Equaz there, who commented about Aston Martin earlier, might have a bit of a problem with that because he now comes out of the pit lane now, 13 seconds behind Kydell on those fresh soft compound tyres. And of course with his 3-second penalty as well, Kydell yet to have a penalty. So technically what he is 16 seconds behind Kydell at this stage of the race, and he's got 9 laps to go. Kydell on 24-lap-old hard compound tyres. Will that play a factor? To be fair, I think it might, and I think we could be in line to see a bit of a surprise here at the end of this race if X Gamer can get that gap down quickly enough. He needs to gain about 2 seconds a lap almost to get himself back up into P2, and of course create that gap there with the penalty situation in hand as well. So let's have a look and see what X Gamer can do here. It will be a bit of a close one, I think, towards the finish line potentially. He needs to gain 2 seconds a lap though, remember, so that was going to be quite a bit of a gap there to bring himself down, get himself back in the order, I should say. So let's have a look and see what he can do in the Aston Martin. Let's find out. 13 seconds now is the gap as he starts going through into Sector 3. And now we're on to lap 44 of 52. So that means we've got, what have we got exactly? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 laps to go. That's my quick maths in my head. But hopefully that is right. Potentially it's probably wrong. So stay tuned, and we'll have to do the count back myself or yourself as well, so that you can actually figure it out for yourself, because I don't have a clue what I'm doing when I talk about maths. Thankfully I have spreadsheets and stuff to do maths automatically for me, which is very helpful, especially for the standings, which Sean is doing. So because I don't have to worry about them either. Now 12 seconds is the gap. It's not coming down quickly enough for X Gamer to get himself ahead into P2 and also get that 3-second gap there with the penalty in mind. So at the moment it's not looking good for X Gamer to bring that gap down, but it is tumbling down pretty quickly. Of course the hard compound tyres as well will be getting a bit more worn out for lap after lap as X Gamer there goes purple in Sector 1. It's 3/10 faster than anybody else so far in this race. Looking good indeed for Immortal as well, but potentially we might see Immortal pit for the fastest lap as well on the last few laps too. But here goes X Gamer there on the soft compound tyres. It's now 10.9 seconds. It's coming down, but coming down quickly enough is the question. can't believe we plan on going to Silverstone in 2020. It doesn't feel that long ago. Yeah, I know. I know it was literally, I think it was the February we found out. And I was a bit upset because I was looking forward to going with everybody there. I think it was about 6 or 7 of us that were planning on going, to be fair. But yeah, potentially we'll have to look at doing that another time. But at the moment, if we actually tried to look and getting a ticket, I think the ticket would cost us too much money to even try and. We could probably have to get there. We'll probably have to get there and just sleep in a bin bag somewhere, because I don't think we'd be able to afford to camp there or anything like that, or stay anywhere nearby, because we wouldn't have enough money left over after paying for our tickets. As X-Gamer there sets the fastest lap of the race there on those soft compound tyres. The gap now 10.1 seconds, and he's got 8 laps. No, he's got 8 laps. Yeah, 7 laps, 7 and a bit laps, 7.5 laps. Ewok and Vessier switching places into P6. Kiki and Mushroom switching places as well into P8 goes Kiki. Ewok and Vessier battling back again into Vale and Club. And there's a switch back between the two of them there. Vessier back up into P6 there. And now it looks like being pushed through into down the main straight they go. This is not where you want to make an overtake, really, as Vessier, they're backing out there very sensibly. And they're thinking twice about his race as well. Of course, he's getting some good points under his belt if he just finishes this race at the moment. So looking good indeed. And the penalty situation, I think, might be, let's have a look at the penalties. It will be very tight between the two of them actually at the same time. So they have to keep going at this stage. And I think, like I said, Vessier there with the DRS now will be pushing on. Let's have a look back at this battle here with Gamer and Kydell. He's coming through Maggots and Beckett's now. Kydell just reaching Stowe, as you can see on the minimap there in the bottom right. That gap is going to be coming down quickly and, well, quicklier, if that's a word. It's now under 9 seconds as well, but I think he's just running out of time there, unfortunately, on those soft compound tyres. The good thing about this, though, of course, the soft compound tyres we saw do about 17 or 15, 17 laps. They won't have to do that many laps, of course, for X-Gamer, so they might be still in a fresher mindset compared to Kydell's old hards at the end of the race. So stay tuned. That tyre might drop off a bit for Kydell and the McLaren, and it might come back into X-Gamer's favour. Back with this battle here down the hangar straight we go once again. Vessier on the inside, he's got the move done before the braking zone. He's up into P6. He's got the move done as well comfortably into P6 before anything else can be done. And Ewok there dropping down the order down into P7 there, as Kiki and Mushroom there have switched places. Mushroom stays in P9 for the time being, but of course has no penalties. The guys ahead of him have got a lot of penalties, I think. So that will be coming back into his favour, of course, when they do cross the start-finish line for the final time. Oh, good news. We're on to the last few laps. So we've got 6 laps or so to go as we come around. I think AC Mortal there is just going to be finishing off the 7th final lap, penultimate lap. So now we're on to 6 laps to go now. 47, 48, 49, 50. 51 and 52, so we're almost there, but like I said, it's been a pretty good race. Like I said, there's a lot of action to commentate on, and that's probably why I'm running out of breath already. Probably running out of breath on about lap 3, to be honest, but there we go, we'll try our best. So good stuff indeed. But here we go then. Ewok there once again lining up a move on Vessier. These two are going to be battling until the checkered flag, I think. They're both on similar sort of tyre life as well, but the problem with that is that the problem with the Mercedes there is that the battery seems to be running out a bit low. That red light flashing on the back of the Mercedes there we saw go through Cops, and now into Maggots and Beckett's, and now on to the hangar straight. Here goes the DRS. The DRS has activated. That red light still flashing away, though, for Ewok Jr. He's not got the power in the straight line speed. I think Vessier, they're saving a bit of energy to fight off the Mercedes there down the back straight, and he keeps hold of P6 for the time being. Serious Mushroom has dropped off the back of these guys as well. The mediums now for Kiki are really switched on now. Can he get himself in the DRS range of Ewok and Vessier and potentially move himself up into P6 as well? We will be able to find that out. Let's have a look and see what Kiki can do. Can the penalty situation as well on Kiki, or for Kiki, is looking pretty good indeed as well. So Kiki is really going great guns, especially on those medium compound tyres, but for potentially a P6 position, maybe P5 even potentially. We'll have to wait and see how it all unfolds. Good race from Kiki to beat in the points, says Ginger Rage as well. Kiki doing a great job as well, actually, indeed. X-Gamer there picks up a penalty. That is his second penalty, I believe. Yes, it's his second penalty of the race so far. So that is him done and dusted. I would have to say, if let's have a look and see who's done what. if Ginger Age is in the comment section, it'd be very nice if Ginger Age could do a very nice driver of the day pot for us. But I would have to go for Reflection, really. So Reflection there has done a great job indeed. Of course, starting on the soft compound tyres. I'd also have to give a shout out there to Ginner and to Kiki as well, I think. So yeah, those have been my candidates. So yes, yeah, there we go. I'm not quite sure if that's going to happen or not, but we'll find out. T-Row there picks up another 3-second penalty, unfortunately for T-Row there. Another multiple track limit warnings. We're on to lap 48 of 52, so we've got 4.5 laps or so to go. Gamer now has got a bit of a mammoth task. He's got 5 laps or so. He needs to gain 5.5 seconds plus 6 seconds, and that's 11.5 seconds for anybody doing quick maths. Because of course he's got 6 seconds of penalties now, so I think that might consign himself down to P3 after it looked like a comfortable P2 was on the cards, which is a bit of a shame there for the Aston Martin team and for X-Gamer as well. But of course he will have... No, he won't. I thought he had the fastest lap point, but unfortunately AC Auto has stolen that from him as well, which is not good news. So yeah, unfortunately for X-Gamer, he's going to have to just coax it home now, I think, and stick in that P3. At least he's got a podium coming his way, which is always good news indeed, and extra points for the Aston Martin team with another stellar display as well. But there we go then. So that is it. Here we go, back for this battle here though. There is still battles going on throughout this race, even though the gaps elsewhere seem to be a bit big. They're not so big over here, where we've got Vessier, Ewok, and now Kiki, who have joined the battle, all for P6. P6 on the track, that is, as well. Penalties will be permitting. But now through into Copse Corner we go. 3 cars flying very quickly through there. Red Bull, Mercedes, and Ferrari, all in the championship order pretty much, apart from Mercedes and the Ferrari being in the wrong order, but there we go. So there we go, right, flying through Maggots and Beckett's now. We're going to have to have a look and see if anyone's going to be able to make a move into the Stowe corner. Once again, that red light flashing on the Mercedes, that is always hampering him now in straight line speed as they go down into Stowe corner. No moves made for the time being. Aston Martin is back in the pits. He's onto the soft compound tyres, potentially to go for a fastest lap point. We'll have to wait and see, but looking good indeed for Aston Martin. If he can get that extra point, of course, that'll be for an extra point for himself and for the team. Kiki now round into into the first onto the main straight, I should say, now into the first corner, and now looking to get his sights set now on the drivers around him as well. He's done 19 laps there on those medium compound tyres. We saw the stops start to appear around lap 19, around lap 21. Roughly for the medium runners in the first stint, who started on the medium compound tyres, that is. So potentially those medium compound tyres for Kiki getting to the end of their life at the moment, unfortunately for him. Ewok now down into the Wellington straight, no moves made into Luffield. He's going to have to bide his time now as they go through the Luffield section of corners, and through into onto lap 50 we go now as well. AC Mortal started lap 50. He's carrying down the Wellington straight as well. He's not too far behind this group here actually, but I think they'll be too worried about each other rather than AC Immortal at this stage of the race. Now into Copse Corner they go, pushing the Red Bull through the Copse Corner as well. Into Maggots and Beckett's we go into the next complex of corners. They're coming up to you very quickly in this on this circuit as well, and you just need to make sure you nail every corner as well, especially if you want to try and get past the car in front. You weren't hoping for a mistake for the Red Bull here, but no mistakes have been made from Vessier. It's been a great drive indeed from him as well. And there we go then, good stuff indeed. As up into no moves made. We're on to lap 50 now, aren't we? So we're going to have to stick at it as well. At the moment, the gap between AC Mortal and Kaido is 28.7 seconds, which is quite big. But there we go. AC Immortal is looking to get himself another win under his belt. It looked like Gurman and potentially Kydell could rival him in this race at the beginning of this race, but unfortunately Gurman there having some sort of issues with his setup, it seemed, after switching from the hard compound tyres after 10 laps onto the medium compound tyres, and then completely having an issue just keeping the car in a straight line, it looked like. Gino has got himself within the DRS range now of Reflection, but 24 laps again on those medium compound tyres. I think that is towards the end of their lifespan. Let's have a look and see if there's going to be any moves onto lap 51 of 52. Vessier and Ewok, they're battling away into Luffield. We go around the outside, goes at the Mercedes. Kiki's going to be interested in this as well. Kiki's coming through as well. No, he's not quite. He's on the back of the Mercedes now. Those guys all over the back of each other now. It's now 5 tenths separating these 3 drivers on track as well. Going through into Copse. No side-by-side action here because you know how dangerous that can be. But they've all made it through very nicely indeed. But they're so close indeed together. Any mistakes now will be potentially a wiping out of either racers and the points as well potentially. So they need to keep it calm and and keep it cool as they go through now onto the hangar straight. Once again, there's just not enough power in that Mercedes to get himself past the Red Bull, but there's enough power in the Ferrari as they goes down the inside there of the Mercedes. They're up into P7, and Kiki gets himself up into the points. We've got a yellow flag in sector 3. I think it's for Thibaut there, who's just dropping down the order, unfortunately having a spin. Acid Masters there gets the fastest lap. That is going to be an extra point indeed for himself and for the team as well, if he can hang on to it in the next couple of laps or so. But at the moment, it's looking good indeed for Acid Masters to get that extra point too, as he's now battling with Chewy to get himself up into P12 on the grid as well. The penalties will come into play, of course, at the end of this race, but Kiki now up into P7 is looking to close the gap there into P6, potentially on the Red Bull. He's got himself past the Mercedes of Ewok. Acid Masters has got himself past Chewy as well as they go around Love Field corner ahead of these guys there on track, but just about. Kiki now down into the into Love Field as well. Hasn't been able to get himself alongside or near enough to Vessier to make a move. He's half a second behind the Red Bull at the moment. Jinner's there. Jinner also biding his time, looking to try and make a move there on Reflection for P4. But I think, again, penalty-wise, it's not really going to be that effective because, of course, the penalties are going to be swinging back in Reflection's favour. Out in the lead, we'll have to keep coming back to that. We'll come back to that very shortly. Here comes Jinner now down the inside into the stow, I should say. And no, he's not made the move yet, has he? Yes, he has. He's tried to go and make a move. Reflection going very wide there on 34 lap old hard compound tyres. Jinner trying to go around down the outside, I should say, into Vale. Turn to the inside for Club Corner. He's got the move done up into P4. There goes the Williams driver. Fantastic stuff indeed. All great driving, except for the penalties, unfortunately, for Jenner, which is going to come back to bite him. But I think he might be able to hang on now to that P4 position. Yellow flags in sector 3. It's for an Alfa Romeo, I think, as Thibaut. They're just letting the drivers through. Thankfully for Thibaut, he's just doing a good job there of getting out of the way from the other drivers who are coming through now. On to the final lap. We're on to the final few corners here for AC Immortal. They're coming round the final club corner for the final time, for the 52nd time, to cross the line to win the British Grand Prix. Yet another win there for Immortal. A fantastic drive indeed from him. Really good and commanding drive, as Vintage there finishes in P10 as well. He does get the points there for the Williams team on his debut full-time appearance for Williams as well. Good stuff indeed. Ace Immortal there, your winner though for the British Grand Prix. Fantastic race indeed from him, and a really commanding victory. It looked like it was going to be he was going to be under pressure for a bit there at the very beginning with German and Kaidel, and then of course with X-Gamer as well later on in the race. But nonetheless, as Kaido's run out of fuel, I think. Is there an issue here for Kaidel? He's off the circuit. Is Kaidel on the final corner? X-Gamer there has got the position. He's got up into P2. X-Gamer finishes P2 and Kaidel finishes P3. Oh my goodness, I didn't even know what is happening in these races. Jinner and Reflection battling away through Stowe corner as well. Goodness me. Oh my. And yeah, sorry about that. My goodness me. Jinner there does finish in P. No, he doesn't finish. Sorry, he hasn't finished across the line yet. Reflection does finish in P4. Jinner in P5. Kaidel and Gexaver finishing P2 and P3. Or introverted, that is. As Vessier comes around the final corner. I'm so confused by what happened there. I'm not quite sure if Kaidel just pushed a bit too hard trying to get the fastest lap or something like that. But he has finished in P3 nonetheless. Kiki in P6. Fantastic stuff indeed from him. Serious Mushroom in P7 as well, with the penalty situation for Vessier and for Ewok. So that is a fantastic result there indeed. So yeah, then we saw Ewok there in P9, I think it was in the end. Vintage in P10. But what a drive indeed for all the guys who took part in it. That was a fantastic drive indeed. What a race, and what a finish as well. That last few laps really just got me going because I didn't have a clue what was going on. There's moves all over the place on the final lap. They really came into fruition in the last lap or so. What a race indeed, and what a result there from AC Immortal, once again the winner there of the British Grand Prix. Then we had X-Gamer there in P2, and of course Kaidel in P3 as well. So good stuff indeed from those drivers. There is the AlphaTauri team, of course, very ecstatic with their win, and we'll get the guys in for an interview as well very shortly. Swanshanks there saying, where was the rain? Well, we forecast rain supposedly by Serious Mushroom, and no rain fell. So we don't know where that's gone. Potentially that will be rain. It will be coming very, very shortly. But Yeah, what a win there from AC Immortal, but what a drive indeed from Kiki as well. I'd have to say he's done a fantastic job there on his debut appearance, and of course reflection from P15 on the grid to P14, a fantastic drive indeed from the McLaren driver as well. So really good stuff indeed from those guys. AC Immortal there is your winner there for the British Grand Prix. X-Gamer there in P2. Kai Dell there in P3. Good stuff indeed from those guys. Reflection there in P4. My driver of the day in my opinion. Gina there in P5 as well. Good drive from him as well. Kiki there, a debut appearances in the Ferrari. A fantastic drive indeed from him as well. Serious Mushroom once again. Good points for the Haas team. Vessier there in P8. Ewok Jr. in P9. Vintage there getting the last point there for the Williams team as well. Swanshanks there in P11. Acid Masters gets the fastest lap point, so that's an extra point for the Red Bull team and himself. Chewy there in P13. Tebow in P14. Good stuff, but unfortunately had a few spins but kept on going. And then Gurman there decided to pit and quit on a lap 15 or so. But that is your classification there for the British Grand Prix. The ALR 100% League is done and dusted for round 9. We'll get the drivers now quickly into the comms box, hopefully for a quick interview. Let's see how quickly we can do it, though. That's the question. AC Immortal is not there. Neither is I don't know what's going on here. Bear with me 1 second whilst I try and sort this out. AC Immortal, we had X-Gamer and Kaidel. Good stuff indeed. Right then, whilst we wait for the drivers hopefully to jump into the podium, we'll have a brief cool down, I think, because blimey, that was absolutely epic, wasn't it? What a race indeed from all the drivers who took part in that one. It was absolutely fantastic indeed, and really good stuff from all the drivers who got themselves some points as well. Really well played from all those drivers. I said hopefully I can get my what's happening here. Why can't I just not sure why it's not letting me change my outputs. Good stuff. I think I've now got it working. Brilliant. Can you hear me in the comments box? Anybody who's joined us for the interviews?
I can hear you.
You can hear me. And we've got, I mean, that's Kaidel. Is that you can hear me?
Yeah.
Good stuff indeed. What happened there on the final? Oh, well, we'll start off with, we'll come back to that. How was your race up until the final lap? I think, like I said, it was looking good indeed for yourself to get another podium at least under your belt, which was, I think, a good result indeed for yourself. Do you reckon?
Yeah, indeed. It went well in qualifying as well. It started to rain very early, so I got a lap in before it rained. I got P2 in quali, so that was a good start. The race, yeah, from the beginning I could already see that X-Gamer was faster than me on the hard compound. I was on the mediums. Don't know why he pitted to softs later on in the race, but yeah, he definitely deserved to be in P2, and the spin in the last corner was not intentional, but a bit of a bummer, but that's how it is. P3, I'm pleased with that.
Oh, yeah, like I said, it's still got a good result for yourself and for the McLaren team as well. So yeah, I think it was just a bit of misfortune there, but maybe just feeling a bit sorry for X-Gamer there, of course. I think so. You did it all out of kindness,
yeah, out of Belgian compassion.
Exactly. That's it. So good stuff indeed. So it's still again like Canada last week. It was still 2 Belgians on the podium once again. So it was a good result for you guys. But no, congratulations once again on the result, and hopefully we'll see you next week as well. Once again on the podium as well. I have to find out quickly whilst you're here what the circuit is, because I've completely forgotten what the next track is as well for us. But it looks like it's going to be Austria. So what's your thoughts on the Austrian circuit on the Red Bull Ring for next week?
I kind of like it. I think it's the shortest track on the calendar, but it's nice. I like it. I enjoy it. So let's hope it's a good race.
Good stuff indeed. Well, that's about it for me. But yeah, really good stuff indeed for all the drivers who took part tonight. And congratulations once again to our podiums of Kydell there, X Gamer. I don't think he joined us unfortunately, and AC Immortal as well, our winner, who decided to take an early bath. But really good stuff indeed. We'll be back, of course, next week for the Austrian Grand Prix. But before then, we've got gold, silver, and bronze next week coming up. Sunday, Monday, and Tuesday, 7:30 p.m. on every day, and they will be taking on the Silverstone circuit in each division respectively as well, before we head to Austria in a week's time for the ALR 100% League as well. So stay tuned to ALR, plenty more action coming up for you in the next week or